Welcome to RetroLogic episode 83. I'm John Cummins. I'm here with Sam Wagers and special guest and unofficial fourth host, Seth Sturgill.
Yes. Unofficial fourth host. I love that. We'll roll with that. Look, I'm here. Yeah, man. It's been a little while since I've been here. Look, I will be here whenever you guys need me. When Dan said that he was gonna, take a little bit of a break, I was like, look, man, I am fully on board. Anytime you guys need me, so well, how's Tuesday? I'll be there.
As soon as he said that, I knew we were gonna need some filler, some guests, and somebody to just talk games. I knew I had somebody in the pocket instantly, so
always
definitely appreciate it.
Right back at you anytime you need some help with some more Keep Nintendo Weird. I'm still waiting on that Codename Steam episode.
Yeah, it was funny. I was thinking about that recently because I'm like, dude, like Codename Steam, I've got to have Sam on for that. I think Dan and Adam both want to be on for that. It's like that's gonna be like a roundtable discussion for Codename Steam.
Yeah, it's getting there where it's kind of old. It's starting to become retro, I guess. 3DS has been around and gone long enough now to be retro, right? It's hit that past 10-year mark.
Sure. It's true.
That's usually how I like to decide what retro is usually like if it's a decade old, that's pretty old by now.
Usually if it's not for sale anymore, it's retro.
Yeah, if it's discontinued,
Yeah, I like to think about it like it's a whole generation of like division for gamers. Like, somebody's first console, say when they're 8 years old, they're now adults.
Right.
For the 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
So like you've already made that next jump into the next generation.
That definitely matters from a, marketing standpoint of we can sell nostalgia to these people.
It does.
Stop. This makes me feel so old.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like somebody's first console handheld was 3DS.
Was.
Oh yeah.
Grew up with the Wii. How old are they now?
Stop.
They're in their 20s.
I can't.
Pushing 20.
Yeah. Yeah, I was already out of high school when the Wii came out, which is bad. But anyway,
we'll have to talk about the Wii later.
Yes, we'll have plenty of time to get into the Wii.
True.
RetroLogic isn't just a podcast, though. It's a whole community of retro gamers. You can visit retrologic.games for our Discord link, fair trade merch, and blog posts written by our very own Sam Wagers. And dive into our family of podcasts. We now have 2 additional podcasts to the other than RetroLogic. We have Retro Groove, a music history podcast that's done by Dan's brother Adam and Liam. That's a great music podcast. I don't listen to a whole lot of music podcasts, so I don't have a whole lot of gauge, but I definitely know that what they're doing is awesome stuff, and they definitely know their stuff when it comes to music. So the other podcast is my podcast, On Topic Retro. It's a podcast that's dedicated to one video game per episode. So basically I'll pick a game that we'll talk about for that whole episode. Sometimes it's based on a community selection, and we just run with it and we have fun. I've had both of you guys on there as well, so you guys are very familiar.
Oh yeah, I'm waiting on that Phantom Dust Retro Rewind. I'm waiting on that.
Yeah, I need to get another copy of the game. I try to replay, or at least start and sample these games again, because some of them have been so long since I've played them. Just the last episode, I probably hadn't played Bionic Commando since I was like 8 or 10 years old. So
right,
that was when I was like, I need to really get my bearing on this game again before I hop into this episode. But yeah, no, definitely need to pick that game up, or actually, like you said, I could play it for free if I want to. I have,
it's free now. Yeah,
I have Game Pass, so there we go. As far as housekeeping goes, on Topic Retro, we'll have a new episode this week. It will be on Mario vs. Donkey Kong Miniland Mayhem. That's the Retro Rewind game for this month. Hopefully everyone has been playing along. I still have a spot open for that show, which I might already have started recording by the time you guys hear this, so it might not matter, but it depends on how fast that goes. Sam has been doing streaming. Did you already finish Mother 3, Sam?
I did not finish Mother 3. I'll be continuing Mother 3 next Monday. Just this Monday was 4th of July, obviously. So I had other things going on that I was a part of. But yeah, Mother 3 is on Mondays, and Tuesday is kind of a variety day. Both nights around 7:30 Eastern Time. So just a couple hours ago, I was streaming Megaman Wily Wars on the Switch Genesis app. So
nice.
I played through Mega Man 2 and half of Mega Man 3 tonight. Next week, I don't exactly know what I'm going to be doing. I might play more Mega Man. I might go to something else. But Mother 3 will continue on Mondays, Mother Mondays, until I finish it.
Awesome. Kind of a side note, and since we have Seth on, we can kind of talk about this, but he, over at All In, we're also doing a sort of a game book club on Mother 3, so anyone that wants to play along and join the All In Discord and chat about it, feel free to do that as well.
That's been fun. I need to catch up because like Sam had gotten so far ahead of me, and we had a few other people, and I was telling Sam, we were playing Monster Hunter the other day, and I was like, dude, I need to just like, I think I need to adopt Sam's strategy of like doing it as a stream game, because then I can keep myself consistent. So
it is a good way to juggle multiple games. If you have a game you're streaming and another game you play when you have other free time.
Exactly. Like I need to schedule it out for myself and have like a dedicated stream day. So maybe folks can, watch Sam play it on, Monday and watch me play it on another day of the week or something like that. And I may restart my playthrough and just try to play catch up because I'd fallen so far behind.
Yeah, I think I'm also behind. I think I just finished chapter 2, so I know Sam's already way up there compared to where we're at. Yeah,
I'm on 4.
Yeah, I'm falling further behind than you guys. Definitely have to catch up with that one. Also, tonight our main topic is going to be the Wii, and since we have Seth on, I decided we were going to do a top 5 Wii games, which is something they do on All In all the time.
There you go. So, yeah, we do a top 5 every week on All In. So this is a very in traditional All In fashion. We bring a top 5 to the mix. I'm here for it.
Right. And with that, I think we'll move on and we'll talk about what we've bought and what we've played. Sam, if you'd like to go first, you are free to go.
Yeah. So just funnily enough, just before we got a Nintendo partner showcase where it was confirmed. I'd long suspected this was on the way, but wasn't sure when it was coming. The Megaman Battle Network collection. And funnily enough, just before that, I finally completed my own collection of Battle Network games by
just in time.
I swiped off eBay a copy of Megaman Battle Network 6 Gregar, which is actually different from the version I'd played before that I'd borrowed and didn't own. I played Falzer before all the way through, but I never owned it. So this was the only game I didn't own in some form of the numbered games. I don't own both versions of each game. But yeah, I got it relatively cheap. This game usually, price charting, I think has it like 70 or something loose. This was for about $40 because it couldn't save. So I figure, that just needs a battery swap. So I'll take it. Worst case scenario, like I can flip this, change the battery myself, sell it to someone else, or I could play it in one sitting, I guess. I don't know. I could put it in my GB operator and
20-hour stream.
Keep my saves on my computer at least.
You could,
right?
That's your extra life challenge right there.
Yeah, so now that I finally have I'm pretty sure Capcom was waiting on me to collect all the Game Boy Advance. Well, technically I don't have all the Game Boy Advance games. I have Battle Network 5 Double Team for the DS. That's how I have Battle Network 5. Super weird that that's the only game they ported to DS, but neither here nor there. Now that I have the complete collection, everybody can have it on Switch. So
there you go.
I was waiting for you to buy that, and so they would release that.
I mean,
now
I could just buy the
all.
Switch game and then cash out my collection, which would be, that would be a very profitable move. These games still command a pretty high price, and they'll probably just keep going up as people get into the series because people want to have it physically. And I would not be surprised at all if the physical version of this is like the Mega Man Legacy collections, where it's split between 2 volumes, because they did say it would be split between 2 volumes digitally. Yeah. And you only get volume 1 on your Switch card, and you get a download code for volume 2. And just go ahead and start being upset about that now so you can get over it.
I think we're beyond that. I think that's happened so many times now that's just a given at this point.
Yeah.
All the Resident Evil games are the same way, right? The collections that they did. I think they did like 4, 5, and 6 on the same one, and I think only 4 is the one that's on the card, and you have to download 5 and 6.
Yeah.
If you buy it physically. So yeah, that sucks. But you could always flip just the one you just bought and sell it for a little bit more and go buy the collection.
Yeah, I mean, I'll still get the collection because that'll make it easy to stream everything. Because like right now, I wouldn't have a way to stream 5, and I'd still like to stream all the Battle Network games because I have a pretty strong connection to them, and it seems like a lot of people I know haven't played them. So I kind of want to introduce
I'd never played them
to it, and even just introduce people to it over the next year before that collection comes out. Assuming people aren't worried about spoilers. That is the thing. So, without getting into it, Battle Network, and this is why I would say do play Battle Network 1 if you care about such things. Do play the first game first, which, if you care about such things, you probably would. Because there is kind of like a big plot reveal at the end of Battle Network 1, and it just gets like casually brought up again in the later games, and you're like, wait, what? I was supposed to know this? Because I beat Battle Network 2 before I got very far in 1. I owned both games, but I just got stuck in Alekman's area in Battle Network 1 for years because I was young and stupid. I don't know. So yeah, just fair warning to people if that's something that matters to you.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, other than that, I've also picked up Capcom Fighting Collection, which I've been playing quite a bit of. And along with that, this was somebody on the All In Discord recommended this little adapter to me from Mayflash, because we were talking about fight sticks. And I have a fight stick it's got a toggle on it for PS3, 360, and PC. Obviously, it doesn't work on Switch. And Mayflash makes an adapter that has a variety of modes. It actually has a wireless mode, too. So it can work with a number of consoles and almost any kind of input, it seems. It even has a mode for working with a Neo Geo Mini, which is kind of cool.
That's
and
nice.
it has a wireless and it has a wired. So it's basically like a Bluetooth dongle, but there's also a USB port in the back. So because my fight stick is wired, because if you're a pro fighting game champion, you're going to use a wired connection. You don't want any interference at the tournament or latency. So you just plug that into the dongle and then plug the dongle into your Switch dock, and it works really well. So I'm happy with that. I have a way to keep using my fight stick now, which before I've only used for PC, really. And I've been using that to play Capcom Fighting Collection. Kind of dabbled in most of the games, but the focus was on Red Earth because I was really curious about that one. I love the concept of it. In practice, I have to say I don't really love it because it is like a fighting game RPG. But the thing is, at the end of the day, it's like a single-player fighting game. And there's a number of problems with that. It's basically like a fighting game where every enemy you fight is the equivalent of a fighting game boss that cheats and has unblockable projectiles and all the things and super armor and all the things you hate about fighting game bosses. And there's just several of them. So I still like it, but I like that it got re-released because it was an uncommon game for people to experience. Not a lot of cabinets of it around here, but I'm glad I played it. Not either, one I'm going to play a lot. I think it did, but it was rare, right? Also played a lot of Vampire Savior. That's where a lot of the focus is. I mean, half the collection is Darkstalkers games, and Vampire Savior, aka Darkstalkers 3, is pretty much the competitive standard for that's the game that there's still an audience for as far as online play or local tournaments and things. So I've been trying to get into that and trying to adapt to it. I love Darkstalkers conceptually again, and I love the way it plays even. My problem is I'm just not very good at it. It's other than kind of hard to get into. Other than Smash Bros, I'm not the best at fighting games. I'm partly competent at Street Fighter, several iterations of Street Fighter. Darkstalkers is a much faster paced, much more offense oriented game, and I'm trying to adapt to that, and I can beat arcade mode fair enough. I haven't done much online, and not helping my case is because I am a fighting game hipster, and I always play like the lowest tier characters. I love playing Anacaris, even though he's the worst character in the game because he doesn't have a throw and he can't push block. But oh well, he's tons of fun anyway. And I have heard some people very knowledgeable about the game say that Anacaris is like the best worst fighting game character. Like that basically because of how the game Darkstalkers operates, every character has the options, the tools they need to win. He just has some defensive disadvantages nobody else does. So that's why everybody kind of agrees he's the worst character. On offense, he's still really strong. Even in neutral, he's strong. He just kind of crumples once somebody gets momentum against you. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. I was supposed to get Pocky and Rocky Reshrined. I pre-ordered it. Amazon never delivered it to me. And I kind of just waited to see what would happen.
Yeah.
I canceled it today because I was like, okay, you're clearly just, it didn't even have a date for me. So I was like, all right, I'll go find it somewhere else. I only waited this long because I'm playing so many other games that I'm like, I can wait.
So it just never even shipped?
I wanted to get the physical. Amazon's usually been fine with me. I always get deliveries on time because I live close to, where they get a lot of stuff in a lot of their warehouses or whatever. Like I've always gotten pre-orders release day. But I don't know what happened with that. I guess they just like didn't stock enough of them, but
wow.
I was a late pre-order too. I think I didn't place my order till like the day before the game came out.
Yeah. But I didn't get one either. Before I could get my order in, they were already sold out.
Yeah, so I'll just start looking to pick one up eventually. If I can't find a physical, I'll just download it digital. I'm not that dedicated. The main reason I get physical games now is because, spending a lot of time talking to you guys and doing Prices Retro, I'm aware that there's a good chance a game like this especially will just wind up being valuable. Mm-hmm. And you're not saving any money by buying it digitally. So it's literally just you're sacrificing value from your purchase. If the digital version was cheaper, I would buy digital most of the time. But when they're the same price, I'm like, I might as well. It's not like I don't have anywhere to put it. So
yeah, I went to look at my GameStop to see if they had any just hanging out. I don't think they got any more than what they had pre-ordered. But I did this because our one of our community members, Zach, said he bought his at GameStop like on release day, and they had like a couple dozen there. So I was thinking, cool, I'll just run to mine and get one. And no luck. So as soon as I got home, I hit him up and I was like, hey, if you don't mind, next time you're back at your GameStop, could you see if they have a copy left and pick it up for me, and I'll pay you for it and get it shipped over here. And by the time that he made it back, they were sold out there too. And it had already sold out online and everything. So definitely be keeping an eye out on, see if they get more shipment in.
Yeah.
As for what I've
Eric
been playing,
had told me the same.
I talked about Capcom Fighting Collection already. But just shout outs to cyberbots as well. That's another game I want to spend more time with, but I've been like working on trying to like actually learn Darkstalkers. So the rest I've just kind of like mashed buttons, saw what it's about. I'm also very interested in Pocket Fighter, which I can never remember the English title for. The Japanese version is just called Pocket Fighter. The other one's like Super Gym Fighter, and it sounds too much like Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, which is also on there and is an actual puzzle game. This is like a fighting game still, but it's like chibi versions of characters from several Capcom franchises, and they're all very different. Like, it's just like very over the top. So like I was playing Zangief, and he has like a move where he does like the Russian dance just across the screen while kicking you. And that's like one of his supers. And like Chun-Li just like randomly turns into Jill Valentine sometimes, because why not? And there's just all this like all this crazy stuff going on. I don't even know why. Like when you hit people, gems come out, you pick them up, you power up somehow. I don't even know what's going on most of the time, but it's a riot. But speaking of fighting games and arcade games, I was actually on a trip for work this last week and got in early. My Monday was just a travel day. I had the whole day to travel there, basically, and then I was on my own time after checking into the hotel and found out there was a pretty good arcade. There's actually a retro game store next to it, too, in a shopping mall in this area outside Baltimore and Maryland. And I played some arcade games. So this place had they replaced the actual coins with like card scanners the way most modern arcades do. And they had like a thing where most of the games you could get an unlimited, it was like 1 hour unlimited credits basically on a card for any game with a certain scanner. And the actual games I wanted to play were all on this, because the ones that were excluded were like the ones that give you tickets, which you can win prizes. Yeah. They're not actually fun games. So this was actually the first time I ever got to play Mario Kart DX, as well as the Luigi's Mansion arcade, which is a ton of fun. It's got the vacuum that has the little like, it's got this thing in it that moves when you suck a ghost in, so you like feel them going down. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. They actually had a number of import games as well, like Japanese cabinets, a bunch of fighting games in the back. I spent a while playing Battle Fantasia, which is a game I hadn't really played before. I mean, it was ported to the 360, I think, but I never had an Xbox. So I played some Street Fighter V as well, which it's like I do have Street Fighter V at home, but I was kind of curious if I still knew how to play it.
The arcade version?
I beat arcade mode, just doing bread and butter jump-in combos with Nikali. So there you go. I've still got some skill. But one of the other things that I thought was really cool was a game called Gunslinger Stratos. Have either of you heard of this game?
I've never heard of that. No,
I have not.
It's made by Square. It's an arcade game. It's a light gun game where you have two guns, one in each hand, and you change them into special weapons by putting the guns together. And you actually have different weapons that activate whether you put them together side by side or on top of each other. There's like magnets on them, so it's actually easy to line them up because they'll like slide into where the magnets are. It's so goofy, but it's like it's the kind of thing that makes me remember why arcades were special.
That sounds
you just
awesome.
Had this stupid gimmick like this that was actually really fun, and it's very interesting. So it's like because it's like a third-person shooter. So you control a character, and you have like dashes and melee attacks and stuff you can do, and there's a whole like online component to it, because that's like a thing in Japan now. is you'll go to arcades and you'll actually play online with people around the country that are in arcades. So there's a lot of arcades that have that kind of like network thing. You'll scan like an ID and you'll actually have like a ranking system and all. So it's like this whole like competitive-ish arcade versus shooter game. And it's a ton of fun. If you ever see this game, play it. It's worth it just for the putting guns together. I pretty much just played the tutorial, but the tutorial was like a solid 15 minutes because there's actually a lot of depth to this for an arcade game. Gunslinger Stratos.
Okay.
It's a pretty easy machine to identify because it's got like a big monitor and it's got 2 guns per player because you put one in each hand. They actually had like 3 machines of this too. So
wow,
it must have been somewhat popular here.
Cool.
I also played one of the Afterburner. I think it was Afterburner Climax. Those games are always fun. The Sega rail jet fighter shooter with the seat that moves when you turn and roll. A lot of fun. So, yeah, all that to say, arcades do still exist and they're still fun. Although, thinking about it more, it's like, okay, I don't know if I would actually like spend a ton of time here just as the value proposition of like, at some point it makes sense to just buy a copy of a game yourself. But there's some of that stuff where it's like, you're only going to get that experience there. And I'm glad I did.
Right.
And yeah, as I said, Wily Wars, stuff I'm streaming, the Live Alive demo as well. And lots of Monster Hunter Rise. Seth knows all about that.
Oh yeah, lots of Monster Hunter
takes over your life. Sunbreak expansion is out. Had a lot of chances to play with people from all around our little Discord community, so it's been fun.
Seth, have you had any luck getting those amiibo yet?
No. How about y'all?
Oops.
Oh no. He really didn't have luck.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You cut out for a second there.
Yeah, my internet's being really spotty for some reason. Sorry, Dan. Yeah, no luck on the amiibo for me. I still, my GameStop never got any. They said they would hold them for me whenever they got them. We'll see. But yeah, no luck on my end. Playing a lot of the game though, man. That's like all I'm playing right now.
Nice. Yeah, I'm still keeping an eye out. I haven't got any either. But if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
That's really what it is. And I'm sure eventually they'll wind up. You'll see a million of them on the peg.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually,
That's how the last ones went.
Yeah, it'll be all right. We'll get them eventually. All
right. Well, Seth, why don't you tell us what you bought and what you played?
Cool. Yeah. So in terms of bought, so I picked up Super Paper Mario, the RetroLogic effect. It happens. We've all fallen victim to it, and I'm no different. I'm a mere mortal like everybody else. And I forget who it was. I think it was Adam who started the Super Paper Mario train, because Adam and a few others are like, people are kind of getting into the Wii. I mean, it's a really good time to collect for the Wii. We'll talk more about the Wii later. And Adam picked up Super Paper Mario, and I was like, man, I really need to play that game. And then I was talking to another friend who had recently picked it up, and I was like, I have really got an itch to replay that game. And then Dan picked it up, and I said, okay, I have to buy this. There's too much provenance here. I need to go ahead and buy it. So picked up a copy of that. Unfortunately, when it came in, like the disc and the manual were in beautiful condition, like flawless condition. But for some reason, the case was really yellowed. So luckily, John was able to hook me up with a new artwork for it, which was very, very kind. And so now it doesn't look disgusting on the shelf. I have no clue what happened. I've got nothing. Like the manual and the disc are perfect, but the artwork was yellow. And it didn't come across in the pictures. It was weird. So, but I'm happy to have that. I wound up getting Pocky and Rocky actually from GameStop's website. Eric was telling me about the issues that people were having getting a physical copy. So I just popped over, literally as I was talking to him, I popped over to the GameStop website and they happened to have some in stock. So I just ordered one, and picked that up, and I got that in a couple days ago. So apparently it's a good thing. So I guess it's like hard to find now. It's weird.
Yeah.
Already. I don't know what the deal is. Already hard to find. Hopefully they'll reprint. Hopefully it's just like a weird snafu there. I got my Amori physical in from Fangamer today, which I've been waiting on. Yeah, I've been waiting on that because I had never played Amori before. I've heard nothing but great things. I knew it was a game I was going to want to have physically. So I pre-ordered that, and that came in just earlier today. So I have no clue when I'll play it. Someday I will. I have it, so maybe one day I'll get lucky and I'll have time to play it. And I'm waiting now for. I just got the notification that my Klonoa physical is preparing to ship. So
nice.
That's coming from Play Asia. So at some point in the future, I'll have a physical Klonoa, because for some reason they decided to not bring a physical Klonoa to the States, and I will be angry about that for the rest of my life. I don't know why they're doing that, because they're like, hey, if you want to support Klonoa and see the series continue, go out there and buy the physical and let us know you want it. And it's like, well, you're not even selling it to us over here. You're forcing us to import it.
Exactly.
And not only that, Japan has got a demo on the Japanese eShop, and that demo has not even come to the States yet. We don't have it. And I have no idea why. And it makes no sense, because the demo is in English, like I played it. And it's easy to make a Japanese eShop account and download it. But like, I'm like, you guys are setting this up for failure. The game comes out in a couple of days, So anyway, that upsets me, because I love Klonoa. Anyway, looking forward to that. In terms of what I've been playing, so I'm working on a Chicory video essay that I'm hoping to have done this month. I need to get it done. It's been on my plate for a long time, and then it got put on the back burner because of all this like weird naughty 3 stuff and like just trying to, cover everything. And so Chicory video got put on the back burner, but I've been getting back on the saddle with that. I need to finish that video. So playing Chicory. I also played the Live Alive demo, like Sam said. I really enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to playing that because I've heard that the game is like fairly short for what it is. I've heard that you can beat it in like less than 20 hours, which is attractive to me. I see
it's those Super Nintendo RPGs, man. They actually, people think about them as being grindy, but they're usually pretty quick. There's a pretty good pace with a lot of them.
Yeah, just like I'm very
Live
here for
Alive,
that.
I was sold on this game before it was even announced. This was actually on my like hit list of games to import and use fan translation patches for, along with like the Front Mission games and
now you don't have to.
Others. And I'm like, oh well, now they're just remaking it in glorious HD 2D. So
yeah, man,
I'm happy
and
about
Front
that.
Mission stuff.
Front Mission is also coming.
Front Mission too. So.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really cool to see, and I want to support that idea too. So I'm really looking forward to it. Hopefully, I can get that finished before Xenoblade, which comes out the following week. So that'll be. But the demo's great. Demo is a lot of fun. You get to play 3 of the chapters, and they're each about like an hour a piece. They're very, very different. So I played that on stream, and I had a good time with that. I booted up the Cuphead DLC, but I've only done like the first boss. I haven't played much of that, but it's more Cuphead. Like if you like Cuphead, you'll like this. It's more Cuphead.
I need to get around to Cuphead too.
Yeah, man.
John, I'm worried I'm never going to finish Majora's Mask.
Oh man, can't do that. You need to get back to that.
It's been
game.
like 3 weeks since I played it.
You gotta. It's the best.
Yep. You're talking to 2 Majora's Mask's apologists here. That's
right.
You got to finish that one.
It is good, and I want to play
fans.
it, but I want to play everything. That's the problem.
There's too many games. There's entirely too many games.
I've said it before. The world could stop making video games. tomorrow, forever, and I would never run out of stuff to play as long as existing video games continued to be available.
Yeah, everybody's all mad that there's been no like first party Nintendo Direct. I'm like, dude, Nintendo could literally announce nothing else for this entire year and I would be fine. Yeah. Genuinely, I would be fine with it. Like just with what we already have and what we already know is coming out, I would be A-okay with that. Yeah. So anyway, but so I touched Cuphead a little bit. Sunbreak's been the main thing I've been playing. It pulled me off of Neon White, which is saying something because I've been obsessed with Neon White for the past several weeks. I actually these records are no longer standing, but I had a couple of world records in that game in some of the levels. I was so addicted to it. One of our all-in community members, Shy Guy City, and I had a heated rivalry in Neon White where we were just like trading world records back and forth, essentially.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I can't.
That is cool.
I mean, the only world records I could claim are Mario Maker levels that I made myself that nobody else played.
Yeah. It was intense. We had like a heated rivalry there for a while, but Sunbreak brought us both out of it because we're just addicted to Sunbreak. I mean, Monster Hunter just has the way of getting its hooks in you, right? So, but yeah, that's about it for me. It's going to be Sunbreak for the foreseeable future, man.
Man, I want to play Cuphead, but I've been waiting for the physical version of Cuphead. I haven't even played the the original content yet.
Yeah, it'll come eventually.
I S ranked every boss but the plain ones.
It's funny
in the original game.
The new character, Miss Chalice, a lot of people are like, oh, she's like the funky mode of this game, right? I'd heard that comparison a lot because she does have a couple of things that on paper make her playstyle quite a bit easier. She has like a dodge roll, which is a little bit weird. It's clunky to use, though. It does give her invincibility frames when she uses it, but it's quite clunky, and I don't like using it. And in fact, I use it accidentally more often than not. But then the way her parry works is also very different. She's got a double jump, which gives you a lot more maneuverability, but she doesn't parry the way that Cuphead or Mugman do, where you would jump and then you'd hit the jump button again in time with your proximity to the parryable item. For her parry is tied into her dash. So when she dashes into a parryable item, she will automatically parry it. The problem is because there is no arc to her jump, like there's no arc to her parry. She's just dashing straight into it. So it doesn't always work out favorably. And in addition to that, she also is not like a standard character that you just pick on the character select screen. You have to give up a charm slot for her. If you want to play as her, she is your charm. So they balance it kind of interestingly to make it so that it isn't just like a straight easy mode. She does make certain things easier, but it's very, very situational for sure.
Nice. Well, I have a much shorter list than normal, so that won't take much longer to get through this. I also picked up the Capcom Fighting Collection for the Switch. I haven't got to fire it up yet, but definitely looking forward to that one. Also in the mail came Breath of Fire original soundtrack on vinyl. I pre-ordered this a couple of months ago.
Is this just for the first game, or is this the whole series?
It's for the first game.
Okay, just the first game.
I'm pretty sure. But it came on a beautiful vinyl. I couldn't pass it up.
Nice.
It's really well done. And then I also, on Dan's, I played a little bit of this on 360 a long time ago, but not enough to have an opinion, and Dan was talking about it, so I grabbed it. Dragon's Dogma for the Switch.
Oh, yeah. Great game.
Yeah, I found a cheap copy, a physical copy on Mercari for like $10. So
yeah,
went ahead and picked that one up. And then really the last thing that I've acquired over the last 2 weeks is a green Gameboy camera from Eric Plunk as payment for restoring his original Gameboy that he got from his friend, or from his friend's mother.
Right.
Which I have been playing. I've played all three of my Game Boy cameras have pictures of things in my basement and all kinds of stuff on them now. And I've saved some pictures from the Game Boy operator that way as well. Game Boy camera is a pretty cool deal. I still love mine. As far as what I've played Tales from Space, Mutant Blobs Attack.
Yes.
This is one that Seth recommended, and I couldn't pass it up. I think I got it for like $2 on sale.
Yes.
And loving it. It's awesome.
It's a great game.
It's a fun game, and so I've played almost all the Drinkbox games that I can think of, but did not even realize that this was them that they made this. So definitely going back in time and playing something from them with this. What is it? I was trying to think. Severed was one that I played a lot of.
Yep.
And what's the other one they did?
Yeah, Guacamelee
1 and 2. I've played through both of those. Yeah, no, they put out lots of good stuff, so I figured I'd grab this one and give it a shot, and definitely not regretting it. Played also the Live Alive demo, and I haven't played all the way through it yet, but I am enjoying what I've played. I don't know that I'll even start this game before Xenoblade comes out, because I probably won't have time to finish it.
Don't even try.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try it. I have it pre-ordered, so it's coming, but Xenoblade will take first priority.
Yeah, I hear
this month, towards the end of the month. I was fortunate enough to secure a collector's edition of the game, so pretty excited about that.
You were chosen.
Yeah, I mean, they're towards the end there. They were getting easier to get a hold of, apparently, so definitely got lucky on that one. Last but not least, I've been playing Mario vs. Donkey Kong Mini Land Mayhem for the show this week. That's a fantastic game if you guys haven't played it. Playing back through it made me remember how much I enjoyed it when I played through it a long time ago. Just the creativity of the level altering to make those things happen. The only thing is those DK bosses, man. They get a little frustrating if you're trying to 100% the game. But stay tuned for a episode of On Topic Retro on that for more details. I'll have some things to say for sure. But I think that's about it for me. So I guess we'll go ahead and move on to The Price is Retro. So if this is your first time playing The Price is Retro, this is how we play. I'm going to list off 4 or 5 games. Everyone else has to guess how much the games are worth in total. Whoever's guess is the closest wins that round, and the next person lists off their games. Everybody brings a list of games, and everyone guesses on each other's lists. Today we'll have a guess list as well. At the end of the game, whoever won the most rounds wins the game. But look out for Poltergeist. He guesses 300 on each list, and if he wins, Dan will give somebody a sticker from the merch store.
There you go. We'll hold him to it, too. He's got to do it.
That's right. The Poltergeist sticker. Every time. All right, so Sam, you want to go first?
Sure. I have a list inspired by the Capcom Fighting Collection. So if you've bought that game and maybe you made that decision based on what these games are worth, you might be able to make a very good guess here. I don't know. I have Night Warriors, Darkstalkers Revenge for the Sega Saturn, complete.
Oh, God.
These are actually all going to be complete in-box games.
Oof a doof. Okay.
Darkstalkers 3 for the PlayStation, complete. Pocket Fighter, also for the PlayStation, complete. And Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo for the Sega Saturn, complete.
Oh, man.
Yikes. I'm going to go flat 500.
500 for Seth?
I was thinking 425.
425 for John. You are not far off. The total is $393.39.
Oh man, that was close, dude.
So Night Warriors Darkstalkers Revenge comes at $107.95. Darkstalkers 3 for the PlayStation, $102.20. Pocket Fighter for the PlayStation, just $55.
I was dead on with that.
Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, $128.24 for the Saturn.
Nice.
Some of those Saturn games are cheaper than I thought they would be, actually.
Yeah. Saturn's, some of their games are not as valuable, but they'll get you every time with the one that you don't think is valuable, and it's just like skyrocketing.
Yeah. Wow, man.
All right.
I think because it comes down to so few people actually have a Saturn that there's just games that like nobody's buying, you know, like the people who have a Saturn already own this game.
Dreamcast is kind of that same boat.
Yeah.
There's still a copy of Daytona 500 for the Dreamcast on GameStop's website for $100 if anybody wants it.
Just to see. Just get it just to see.
Yeah, it's been on there for like over a year now. All right. Well, Seth, do you want to go next?
Sure. So all of mine are also complete in box. You may notate a theme as we go along here. My first game is Ivy the Kiwi ? For the Wii, complete in box. Okay. My second game is Ivy the Kiwi ? For the DS, complete in box. My third game is Rodea the Sky Soldier for the Wii, complete in box. Ooh. My fourth game is Rodea the Sky Soldier for the Wii U, complete in box. And my final game is Rodea the Sky Soldier for the 3DS, complete in box.
I'm going to say 225 on this list.
Okay. Well, now I'm reasonably confident I can't be that far off, or else we both are. I've got 170.
You're both pretty close, actually. The grand total is $200.98. Both pretty close. So the way that broke down, Ivy the Kiwi on Wii is $69.78. Ivy the Kiwi on DS is $50. Rodea on Wii is $24.95. Rodea on Wii U is $34.97, which is hilarious because there was, I don't know, like 6-7 months ago, we all bought it for like $10 off their website.
There we go. Stonks.
Yeah. And then Rodea on 3DS is $21.28. And these are all Yuji Naka games that had multiple versions. And in many cases, particularly with Rodea, the games are very different on each version.
Yeah, Ivy the Kiwi is actually a pretty good game.
It's great. Yeah, I love that game.
And if I might be incorrect in this, but I think the only way to get the Wii version of Rodea is by buying the Wii U version, correct?
It is now. Yeah, they had I believe they did a small run of the Wii release separately from the Wii U version. But yeah, now it's only, bundled in with the Wii U. So if you find the Wii U complete, it also just has the game on Wii in the box.
Yeah.
And they're quite different, the two versions of the game.
I acquired because I have a Wii version, but I bought it from my local, and it was in a Wii U box. So I thought I was buying the Wii U version. And then whenever I get home, I open it up and it's actually the Wii version in the Wii U's box.
It's so weird. It's so weird and confused.
Which I wasn't too upset. I paid like $5 for it, so it wasn't as big of a deal. But
that's a fun game too. Yuji Naka was making some interesting games in that era. He made a really bizarre WiiWare game that I feel like nobody but me played. I think it's just called Let's Catch. And it's just a game where you're just playing catch with like, I think there's maybe 9 people and you're just throwing a ball back and forth playing catch. But in the middle of it, you'll wind up having these conversations with people telling like personal, like heartfelt stories about their life. Like in the first one, you're just like playing catch with this kid and he starts talking to you about his parents getting a divorce and things like that. And like, it's just this little WiiWare game that Yuji Naka made. And it was like weirdly heartfelt. I remember really enjoying it. It was bizarre. So
that sounds about right.
Shout outs to Yuji Naka, man. Somebody had made the joke after that whole Michael Jackson thing went around last week or whenever that was. Somebody in our Discord had made the joke. It was like Yuji Naka now spells his alphabet A, B, C, D, E, G. You know, no F's.
No F's. All right. Well, I'm going to shoot off my list and you guys can take a stab at it. Mine is just basically Wii games that are semi-valuable for Wii games. Okay. So the first one on the list is Gunblade New York and LA Machine Guns Arcade Hits Pack for the Wii, complete in box.
Whoa, I've never heard of this.
So these are Capcom arcade games that got put together. They're light gun games that got put together in a Wii pack.
It's probably pretty good.
The second game is Veggie World for the Wii, complete in box. The third game is Sheeran the Wanderer for the Wii, complete in box. And the last game is Mr. Bean's Wacky World for the Wii, complete in box.
It's my turn to go first.
I think it's your turn, to go first.
I feel like one of these is just going to be like insanely valuable. And it's probably going to be Mr. Bean's Wacky World for all I know. But I'll just stick with my gut. I'm just going to say 250.
Okay. My number that I have here on my calculator is 265. God bless us all.
All right. Well, the total value of my list is $562.97.
Ghost wins.
Ghost wins that one.
Ghost wins that round.
Ay.
Should have guessed above 300 just to make sure he didn't win.
I should have done that.
He did take that one. All right. So Gunblade New York and LA Machine Guns Arcade Hits Pack, complete in box, is $98.95.
Okay.
Veggie World for the Wii, complete in box. Drum roll, $311.89.
There it is.
Wow.
That's the one.
See, I was actually semi-confident I knew what all the triple-digit Wii games were, but I guess not. Because I did not know about this one.
Yeah.
There aren't that many.
And then Sheeran the Wanderer, which is one that I've been trying to find reasonable. I haven't found one yet, but it's complete in box, goes for $72.57.
Okay,
I had 80 on that.
That's in line with what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Mr. Bean's Wacky World, complete in box, is $79.56.
Okay.
Which this is Mr. Bean. So it's kind of funny. It's like an animated Wii game with Mr. Bean in it. It almost would be worth playing. Like, I might have to try to find this one too.
I would be opposed to it.
Yeah, I like Mr. Bean.
I do too.
All right. So we have one more list. I'm going to pull it up really quick. And this list was given to us by Galacticoopa. And just for the sake of it, I'm going to give the games. He has 6 games here, and then we're going to try to guess the theme. He has all of it blacked out.
Okay.
Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Game 1, Xenoblade Chronicles for the Wii, complete in box. Game 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 3D for the Nintendo 3DS, complete in box.
I'm beginning to see a theme.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah. Game 3, Xenoblade Chronicles X for the Wii U, complete in box. Game 4, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for the Switch, complete in box. Game 5, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Torn of the Golden Country, complete in box for the Switch. And Game 6, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition for the Switch, complete in box.
I was waiting on a pre-order for 3 to pop up in there somewhere.
Yeah, I know. Let me do some quick math on this. We obviously know what the theme is. So
I can just throw my number out there because why not? I got 485.
I promise you guys can see me on camera. I don't know if you can make this out. My number was 385.
There you go.
It's so funny. Exactly 100 apart.
all right, hold on 1 minute. I'm still adding up. So I'm going to say 325. So let's see here. Let me do this again. So I guess I should have been typing these down whenever you guys were telling them to me. Sam, you said 285?
I said 485.
485, sorry.
Yeah.
And then Seth, you said 385, correct?
I was at 385. Yep.
Okay, so I'm at 325, 485, and 385. All right, so let's see what the total value is. 287.19.
Man,
That's a ghost, isn't it?
That's a ghost. That's a ghost, man. That's got to be a ghost.
So actually, you and the ghost are tied now.
Yes, we are. Yeah, because the
I think
ghost.
you were much closer on certain lots, though.
Yeah, than the ghost.
So your,
The ghost.
your total is better than your total cumulative error is. Less
Dan
than
just
the ghost.
narrowly avoids having to give away a sticker this week.
Just barely, yeah. Because my
Narrowly.
total difference for all 3 of my guesses was only $93.
Wow.
I was pretty spot on this week. Dan should have
Good
came
performance this week. Yeah, man.
Yep. I'm getting worse with time. I don't know what it is.
So let's go ahead and
I
go over
start to
these.
doubt myself. Pump up the numbers when I shouldn't.
I
Like,
know.
I'm always low.
But it doesn't
Just
matter
add another
because
100
Dan
on.
never counts the episodes that he's not on anyway in the
Exactly.
rally in the tally there. So
That's true.
Oh man, yeah, because I missed a bunch this season so far. So he's gonna rake me over the coals on those. So Xenoblade Chronicles for the Wii complete in box is $32.52. Chronicles 3D for the 3DS is $28.59. Chronicles X is $60 complete in box
that's
on the
lower
Wii U.
than I thought. Okay.
Chronicles 2 for the Switch is $59.39. Chronicles 2 Torna is $71.69. And the Chronicles Definitive Edition for the Switch is $35.
No, I never.
I was
know what
high
the
on all
definitive
those.
editions. I really thought the Wii original game was much more. I remember that being expensive. Once
It
upon a
used to
time.
be. Since they released the Definitive Edition, it's kind of come down.
It's just like stuck in my memory as one of those expensive games, even though it's not anymore.
I know. All these have come down considerably in the last couple of months. The only one that has, even Torna has come down. This game was $100 for a little while.
Switch games, that does not surprise me much. Even though I guess, because I just don't trust myself on this game anymore. I guessed high anyway, but that doesn't surprise me because this.
And the Wii U game has gone up.
Making Switch games, so it's weird for a game to be collectible when it's still like it could just be printed again, you know?
Yep. Yeah, the surprising one is the Wii U one. Chronicles X has gone up exponentially. Like, you used to be able to buy this game all day for $20.
I was seeing it on.
People are getting into the series on Switch, and then they want to go back and see the Wii U one.
I was shopping for it on Mercari recently, like within the past, 3 months or so. And I was seeing it floating around for like $80.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
So maybe it's hit the apex of its price and it's coming down a little bit now.
Yeah.
I bought the whole thing, the collector's edition of this game, maybe 2 years ago, and I paid $45 for the collector's edition.
Wow.
So that's to tell you how cheap the game used to be for just the, complete in box copy of it. Used to find it all day for like $15-20. But yes, so based on tiebreaker rules, I was definitely closer with my guessing than the ghost, so I am the winner today. Yay me.
Dan doesn't have to ship out a sticker this time.
He might need to anyway. Who knows?
Just do it anyway, Dan.
That's right.
It's a rough world out there. Everybody could use a little extra sticker in their life,
He just got a new job. He can buy another sticker.
Yeah, you can afford it. Come on.
So, yeah, I'm missing a bunch of time and wins. I need to go back and figure out who won certain episodes because I didn't put them in here because either I was gone or just forgot to do it. My list is incomplete, but we're nowhere near catching up to Dan at this point, Sam.
Yeah, I don't think there's any hope for me. I think I have one win.
I think you have one. I think I have.
That was like back
5.
in January too.
Yeah, and I think Dan's got 12, and I've probably missed some of the ones that he did win. So he's kind of like how where I was at towards the end of the last season. All right. Well, Sam, you have another game for us that's called Spot the Fake.
That's right. I have a Spot the Fake list, a pretty simple game. I'm going to read off the titles of 6 different games. At least this time it's 6 different games. One of them is not a real game, and the other 5 are real games. So again, this is Spot the Fake. We do sometimes play Spot the Real, where only one of them is real. In this case, only one of them is fake. The other 5 are real. And in keeping with our Wii theme, this is Spot the Fake Wii Shovelware Edition.
So
man. Hope you're well acquainted with the Wii's extensive back library of maybe not so great games.
Machi.
Hope nobody's insulted that I consider these games to be shovelware. I don't know.
He's going to be like, no more heroes, deadly creatures.
All right, so without further ado, we have Pets, that's Pets with a Z, Rescue Wildlife Vet, Active Life Magical Carnival, Shrek's Carnival Craze, Imagine Party Babies, again, that's babies with a Z at the end, BABYZ, Puppy Parade, and lastly, Smarty Pants.
So what was the second game?
Active Life Magical Carnival.
That's it. That's the fake. I'm pretty sure.
Fake? Are you sure?
Is Smarty Pants also with a Z?
No, it is not with a Z.
I know Smarty Pants is not fake. I know that's a real game.
What was the puppy one? What was the puppy one?
Puppy Parade.
Puppy Parade? I'm going to vote for Puppy Parade, but John seems very confident. There are a few that I remember, like I was getting flashbacks when I used to work at GameStop, and you were talking about Imagine Party Babies. I was like, that's 1000% real. I remember that so vividly, dude.
I think I own some of these because my daughters.
So Seth is on the money. Puppy Parade is the fake.
Yes.
Man, that's
Puppy
one
Parade.
that I just made up. Sounds pretty believable. I don't know what you do in this game, but I don't know what you do in Imagine Party Babies either. So
there was one. What was it? Was it like Babysitting Mama, the one that came with like an actual little baby doll? Yeah, and you put the Wii remote in the baby. That was
kind of weird. Sam, though, I was thinking it was that one because wasn't there an Active Life like outdoor challenge or something that came with like a pad? I think
that sounds familiar.
Maybe a series. I mean, the Pets series was a whole thing. There were like 6 of them.
Yeah, I think that Active Life outdoor challenge or whatever got ported to the Switch too, and like it didn't sell at all. Like you still see it everywhere.
They're trying to ride on that Ring Fit wave.
Oh yeah. It didn't work. All right. Well, I should have went with Seth, I guess. I was thinking I had something.
Look, I thought I was like, John seems confident. I was second guessing myself, but I am glad that I threw my lot in with the puppy parade.
Yes, puppy parade. All right. I don't think I didn't receive anything from anyone else as far as games go, so we're just going to hop into the trivia card that I have here. And you guys can try to figure this out. First question is Paul Phoenix, Horang, and Nina Williams are all characters from which popular fighting game series?
Tekken.
Oh, man.
Tekken is correct.
Clue. I'm not the fighting game guy. Yeah, if Eric was here, he would.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm not a fighting game guy.
I guess none of those are like
main characters.
You don't play. Yeah, they didn't ask like Jin, Heihachi, or
I would have gotten it with them. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. Yoshimitsu's not a main character, and that wouldn't help because it could be Soul Calibur.
Could be,
yeah.
But
so, second question says, which video game series sees players play as Commander Shepard as they try to save the galaxy from powerful mechanical beings known as the Reapers?
It's Mass Effect.
That is true. Yep. No stumping you guys this week. It's like there's one difficult card in this whole lot that I have, and I think I drew it a couple weeks ago when we did this.
By the way, I was the guy that you guys are referencing when you pulled the Nico Bellic from GTA 4 card that one time, and you're like, somebody's yelling. That was me yelling. I was driving. I'm like, it's Nico Bellic from Grand Theft Auto 4. It's the best Grand Theft Auto game. What are you doing?
To be honest, you could ask me literally anything about Grand Theft Auto, and I would not know.
The only one
other than like, what's that game where you steal cars?
I played 3, and that was like the heyday for Grand Theft Auto for me. I didn't really get into the later ones. I mean, I played the different iterations of 3.
4 is so
that was
good.
About it. I remember when it came out, and I just didn't ever get it. I don't know what happened.
Well, especially if it has to do with like the story mode, because my only exposure to that was people who would just, kind of free range, just run around and try to max out the police alert level or whatever.
All right. Well, I think we're done with games, so we can just go ahead and move right along to the topic of the show. Today's topic is the Wii, and I put a little note of in here, 16 years of waggle. So that's how long we've had the Wii. 16 years now. That's right. 16 years of waggle. And I've got a few notes, and then we can just start talking about it. But it released in November 2006 in the US. And before it released, it was given the code name Revolution. I remember tracking this thing like crazy because there was a bunch of rumors about how it was going to be super powerful and all this stuff when people originally started talking about it, and then turns out we got GameCube too. But yeah, it was crazy back then, because there really wasn't a whole lot going on at that point in time. And I mean, we basically just had the 360 kind of pushed in early, so everyone was still kind of getting used to that. Everyone was waiting to hear and see what Nintendo and PlayStation were going to do. The Wii was part of the 7th generation of home consoles, and it used a unique motion control system for its games most of the time, not all the time. It was the 4th highest selling console of all time, still standing, I believe. Or is the Switch overtaken that?
The Switch, I think, recently
Switch has overtaken the Wii.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just recently.
5th highest selling console then, right?
Yeah,
I think it's still the Game Boy console series, I guess.
I don't
all of them
think
combined.
I think Game Boy Family is the next one to beat, and then I think PS2 and then DS, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it'd be DS and then PS2. I think PS2 is the highest selling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just barely. I think it's like 1,000 units or something like that. Or 1,000,000 units, sorry. But yeah, no, the Wii was a very unexpected success. Like, I don't think Nintendo was really knew what kind of success they had on their hands whenever they put this system out. Kind of had a rough go at the beginning and then just kind of just took off. Like, older people, kids, like this system was just, everybody wanted one, and the price point hit home hard. Like, everyone could afford one. It was just like a perfect storm for Nintendo.
That's still like really remarkable to me. Like, that this really like took off with senior citizens. You know, that's huge. Like, that's very like, especially I think within like the, you know, like gamer culture sphere. It's like, oh, whatever. You know, that's because they're casuals and they don't. But like, I still think that is a huge untapped market for video games. And I think we're going to get there one day, or, you know, as people who grew up with video games hit retirement age. That's just like, you know, when you're not physically able to do the same things. Now, you won't be able to play just any game either. You're not going to be playing, you know, Darkstalkers. You know, you're not going to be doing things that require quick reflexes,
dexterity,
Counter-Strike. You're not, you know, but like, I fully believe one day RPGs will be old man video games, and I'm waiting for that day when I'm an old man playing RPGs.
That's what I was say. Eventually, it's just going to
kind of make the text big enough to read. People, make sure you're doing that.
Yeah, we're already old if that's the case.
But like, no, I mean, it's like that's a huge thing for people who didn't grow up with video games to finally like understand them and see an appeal in them. And you saw that, you know, you saw like the Wii in the nursing home, and it was like a thing that helped people with like physical rehab because it had that light amount of physical activity that came with it. It really is something we've lost in the transition to the Switch. There was the Wii U in between, of course, which did still have the Wii remote, but it pulled the focus away. You know, we kind of went back to more traditional styles of games, and obviously that's, you know, delivered a more frequent amount of like big hits to Nintendo fans. But, you know, I do kind of miss that amount of innovation, that willingness to try new things, and the fact that it was, you know, bringing new people in.
Yeah, I mean, the Wii had its sticking point, and it stuck to it. Like, if you think about it, I mean, the Wii stuck to motion controls from the beginning to the end. Like, they were ingrained in it, and I would say what it did.
For all the waggle, I think those late first-party Wii games are when you really started to see Nintendo themselves understand how to use motion control effectively.
Yeah, they were dialing it in.
They didn't shoehorn it in everywhere, but they also were capable of making even their own franchises like Mario and Zelda actually build around motion controls in a competent way. And that was also part of the problem, I think, is because everybody else that wasn't Nintendo was just like, oh yeah, was just I don't know, map button press to waggle. It has motion controls now. That's how we port things to Wii.
The scramble, man, like PS3 was like basically kind of postponed due to like trying to, you know, put a motion control type system in their controllers at some point. Like, that's something that happened afterwards. Like, it was never mentioned in pressers beforehand, and then all of a sudden, like, the Wii comes out, and now PlayStation's like, oh yeah, we're gonna have motion controls in our 6-axis controllers. And I don't know if you've ever played like Dragon's Lair or any of the games that, you know, potentially utilize it, they were definitely not anywhere near the polish that Nintendo puts on their games that use motion controls.
Yeah, they really did. I love what Sam said about just sort of like the Wii appealed to everybody. It appealed to the most mass market possible because everybody has held a remote. You know, everybody has held a TV remote.
And that was the conscious decision. I think it was was that Reggie's push or was that Iwata's push? Somebody
Iwata's
at
push.
Nintendo made that. Iwata made the push to call it a remote and not a controller, so that people would more easily understand what it was about.
I don't remember. It was something that I had read after Iwata's passing. I believe it was Jeff Keighley. They were sharing a plane together. They were sitting next to each other in a plane, and Iwata had pulled out the early like prototype of the Wii remote, and then he flipped it on its side, and of course it just looks like an NES controller, so it just like and he just like smiled, and showed him how like the sort of nascent idea of what would become the virtual console, this idea that you've got this thing that is a remote, and it is universal to everybody who sees it. It just makes sense immediately. But then for old school gamers and Nintendo fans, you flip it on its side and you've got an NES controller. And like, you could argue that it didn't work out exactly the same way. And I think most of us just ended up playing with a classic controller anyway when it came to virtual console. But the idea was there. And I think it just demonstrated, again, Nintendo's want and willingness to appeal to the maximum amount of people with Wii. Like Wii Sports was like, I cannot overstate how much that game felt like it came from outer space. Like when it came out, I will never forget the first time I played Wii Sports.
And it does speak so much to why, this wasn't just you couldn't just phone in this kind. It wasn't just, motion control is just a gimmick. You can just, slap it. Because there are all kinds of those like plug and play. Even before the Wii, there were those, really cheap plug and play like baseball motion games, and they sucked. And everybody knew they sucked.
Oh, yeah.
We actually did a good job with it. Like, there is a difference.
Yeah,
well, how not just in the hardware was,
but in the design, in the level of polish, the attention given to the software, it makes a difference, and people can tell. Even the so-called casuals that aren't supposed to know any better, they can tell.
Well, and kind of what I was saying, like how Nintendo just fully bought into the idea of motion control. This is something that I don't think has ever happened since. Like, the 3DS main feature 3D dropped like a year and a half maybe into its life.
Look at the Joy-Cons. As soon as the Switch Lite came out, I mean, the Joy-Cons are dead.
Even the Wii U, the Wii U's second screen idea was only utilized on like a very few amount of games to its full potential. Usually it would later become like, oh, here's a screen for you to have a map on, and that's basically what it became. Its functionality was never really truly realized, beyond the first early stages of it. I mean, Zombie U did a fantastic job of using that second screen. Some of the early, like Nintendo Land and stuff, really did a good job with it. But after that, it was just third parties didn't know what to do with it. It just, like I said, it became a inventory screen or a map, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Wii, like, it represents a really special time in Nintendo for me, that sort of Wii DS era, because like,
especially paired with the DS.
Yeah,
it's a hotbed of innovation.
Just a special time, like, because I love Nintendo because they aren't afraid to be different, but that was the last time that Nintendo was unshakingly devoted to being different. And like you said, John, they doubled down on it. Like they were like, not only are we not giving up on this, despite everybody making fun of it or whatever, making fun of the name, making fun of the waggle, whatever, like they had to pry the Wii from my cold, dead hands. Like I was still playing the Wii when all of my friends were, on 360 and PS3 and stuff like this. And despite all of that, like late in the life cycle, it's like, we're going to rethink the motion controls, make them better, and we're going to double down on it with our software. Like, we're not going to abandon it at all. This is what makes this thing special. And like, we don't have to follow the trends. We make the trends, actually. And what a special era of Nintendo for me.
I mean, you brought up the virtual console too, and it's difficult to realize just how big a deal that was.
Stellar.
I don't think I realized at the time, but it's like, we take that for granted. I know, and I've gone into this. I wrote a whole series of blog things comparing Virtual Console to the situation on Switch and how we actually do have more re-release material on Switch. But it does say something that a lot of people still yearn for that Virtual Console because it was such a streamlined, like, one-stop shop. Literally just your Wii Shop channel had a Virtual Console section and everything was there and it was well curated and it was what you were looking for as a retro gamer. And
it was a brand new idea.
Priced uniformly, and we really haven't had it as good since in a lot of ways, in terms of just the vehicle and presentation, even if not in terms of the actual like content, because obviously like we are getting some Game Boy Advance games even on the Switch now, and you know, we're getting remasters of PlayStation and PlayStation 3 games even. But I mean, it was a huge deal just because that hadn't been done before. I mean, prior to that, you got remakes weren't even common. Remakes and re-releases weren't common. I mean, you had weird exceptions like Mario All-Stars, or you know, a couple odd like Namco Museum things, but like the vast majority of games were never going to see the light of day again. And then Nintendo comes out and not only are we going to give you, you know, all these games from our back catalog, but you know, we've got Sega games, we've got TurboGrafx games, you know, all of it's here.
Yep.
And at the time, it wasn't even, I mean, GameCube was a recent memory, and you could play GameCube games on your Wii anyway if you still had the discs. And you could still find the discs pretty easily back then, too. So the fact that GameCube wasn't there wasn't such a glaring omission, really.
It is kind of crazy that they never did do GameCube games on it, like later on at least. Mm-hmm. Because it wasn't very long into the Wii U's life whenever they were like, oh, look, Wii Virtual Console. you guys can play Wii games on your Wii U, like right now, buy them.
Well, and I think part of that was as a result of bringing over, because correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the games had to be booted in Wii mode to play, right? At least initially, and you had to pay the $1 to upgrade them. So I think a lot of it's because of that infrastructure already being there. They're like, well, we can just bring Wii games over wholesale since we already have Wii mode as a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just... I think the lack of GameCube there would have been just the lack of an online infrastructure for the GameCube. Like, GameCube didn't have a store, so like there was no digital GameCube games, you know?
Right. You weren't going to just rip ISOs the way, you know, bootleggers do.
Yep. Whereas, you know, by the time the Wii got towards the end there, you could buy some games online. You know, there was still some digital versions of some things later on. By the time the Wii U came around, you could definitely buy things online.
I mean, even just having online. This was a huge thing for Nintendo. Having online gameplay, having all the channels, all those little channels too. That still comes to mind with the Wii too, is because we don't even have that on the Switch. Switch is just about games, and in a lot of ways, that's how it should be. But it's like, I'd be lying if I said we weren't losing anything by not having, you know, the Everybody Votes channel.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I love Everybody Votes.
Bring back Everybody Votes and make it like part of Splatoon 3. Splatfest Everybody Votes.
I mean, even if they just brought back the Everyone Votes and made like an app for it on the Switch.
I mean, Switch isn't big on it. Switch still doesn't have Netflix. The Wii has Netflix.
Yeah,
it's shut down now.
Yeah, we have Netflix.
They even did like in Japan there was like weird stuff where you could like order food. There's like a Wii channel to like order like pizza. I think it was maybe even like a Pizza Hut collab.
And the funny thing too, it's such a small thing, but like the Wii was the first console I ever bought with my own money, right?
Yeah,
because I was old enough I could actually save up money and buy a system 100% myself. And like, so I bought a Switch. I had Wii Sports and Wii Play and Twilight Princess, I think. And those were my games for a long time. Yeah. So I spent a lot of time just like goofing, just going into the Weather Channel, like
Yeah.
This is what I can do. You know,
The world is your
like
oyster.
the tech demos of the Wii were the Weather Channel and the Everybody Votes Channel, and
and the Wii even had like the little notification light on the, the disc tray would light up blue.
I love that. Yeah.
Tell you, hey, come check out things.
yep.
It was just full of innovation.
There's that whole like the Nirvana the band the show We Shop Wednesday thing that goes around on Twitter and whatnot, and like that's so accurate because like there was that vibe of like, oh man, like it's Wednesday, like new games on the Wii Shopping Channel, and there's
Everybody
like a
loves to shop
ritualistic
on the Wii Shopping Channel every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, everybody knows
your virtual console and.
But it's just like there's something to that. There was something about like there was like a ritualistic nature to it. There was like a explorative nature. It just felt very playful. The Wii in general just feels like a playground. I adore that system.
I mean, how many times have we talked about a specific retro game, and you ask when I played it, and I'm like,
Wii Virtual Console. Yeah, same.
That was a lot of my initial exposure to Genesis, to TurboGrafx. Even a lot of the Super Nintendo stuff that I just didn't have, like Super Nintendo RPGs. Earthbound was my RPG. Okay.
Yeah.
I know that's weird on its own because it's the game most people didn't buy. And if you bought it later, you paid a lot for it. But my brother pulled it out of a Best Buy bargain bin for $8 in 1997. And, that was the game I had. But like, stuff like Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VI, I did not play that until Wii Virtual Console.
Yeah, I would have never played. I would have never played Pulseman if it wasn't for Wii Virtual Console, and I don't think Pulseman's even ever been re-released since in the States. I think that's the only way.
On the Genesis app, man.
Yeah,
it wasn't even. Is that one that wasn't even released initially? Was it Sega Channel only?
I believe it was initially only Sega Channel. Yeah. And so they put it on Wii Virtual Console, and that was mind blowing. And
same deal with Wily Wars. Actually,
can't even get it on Steam either.
Sega Channel.
Yeah, I miss it.
Well, do we have anything else we want to talk about the Wii, or do we want to move on to some top 5 action?
I was going to say, you could have me here all night talking about the Wii. We should get into our top 5s, though, because, man, the games...
We'll be here all night.
Yeah, we'll be here all night.
How do we want to do this? Do we want to do, like, all 5s first, or just give our list? Or?
We'll do all 5s first. We'll do it traditional, all-in style.
All right.
There you go.
Countdown.
Gotcha. Countdown from 5 to 1.
Yep, and we'll let Dan start with his, because I have his top 5 in our notes. So Dan will start off the top 5.
He's here in spirit.
He is. And his number 5 is World of Goo.
A WiiWare game.
A WiiWare game.
The WiiWare game in some sense. Like, this is what put WiiWare on the map for a lot of people. Like, WiiWare games aren't just like these can be somebody's game of the year.
Yeah.
I love WiiWare. There are a couple of WiiWare games, like Lost Winds come to mind as another like really good WiiWare title.
And for me, it's Mega Man 9, but that's not unique to the Wii.
Yeah, that's true.
That itself was huge. The whole we're gonna do the whole 8-bit revival thing was still pretty new back then.
Yeah, it was crazy. But World of Goo is a great game. I love Dan. And I love, I love that he loves World of Goo that much. I'll give him that.
All right. Let's establish a pecking order here. We'll do Dan, and then we'll do Seth, and then we'll do Sam, and then I will go. How about that?
Okay.
Awesome.
Sounds good. Okay. So my number 5, and this is a little bit of a weird one, and this was such a hard list for me to put together. Already, even here at the 0 hour, I'm like, should I swap it out for this? I'm not going to. I'm going to just stick with my guns. Literally, my number 5 is Dead Space Extraction.
Yes.
Okay. I love this game. It is the second best Dead Space game. Dead Space 1 is the only Dead Space game that is better than it. It is, for my money, the best shooter on the Wii. To have like a sort of like on rails, kind of like gun shooter, which was perfect for the Wii anyway.
Arcade type experience here.
It's a great game, and they actually it tells a good story. It makes the sort of world and the gameplay of Dead Space realized very well in this style. It's a really excellent game. I feel like people sleep on Dead Space Extraction.
All right.
Yes.
My number 5, I had a lot of trouble with the very bottom spot of this list. The top ones came in pretty easily. They were pretty obvious choices. So I have a lot of honorable mentions. I think we'll have time for those later. I settled on, for my number 5, a game that might surprise some people. I don't know. Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. This is most Fire Emblem fans' least favorite Fire Emblem.
Really?
It is my favorite. It is my first. One reason it gets a lot of crap is because it has a reputation for being one of the hardest games in the series. It's really not. One of the reasons for that is because, for whatever reason, when the game was localized, instead of calling the difficulties, as they had been in every game since Fire Emblem on the Game Boy Advance, aka Fire Emblem 7, its official title now is what? Binding Blade?
Yep.
Blazing Sword?
I think that's right.
One of those?
I think it's Binding Blade.
That might be 6. That might be Fire Emblem 6, the one that didn't make it here.
Yeah, you might be right.
But usually, Fire Emblem's difficulties are normal, hard, and lunatic. And that's how they were in English up to now. For whatever reason, in this game, they decided to name those same difficulties as easy, normal, and hard. So people who are used to playing Fire Emblem on normal difficulty picked normal difficulty and did not realize they were playing hard difficulty.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
And hard became.
Now, I had no
hard was
context for that.
lunatic.
I had no context for that. I think I actually did start on easy because I'd heard these games were hard. I knew they had permanent death. But I wound up playing through it 3 times. I did not finish a playthrough on Lunatic. Lunatic does get very hard. It still is one of the harder ones, simply because of the units they give you to work with. If you can make it through part 1, it gets a lot easier, because the thing about part 1 is they basically give you a team of people where nobody can take a hit. You have one fighter, and then you have a mage, a myrmidon, an archer, and a rogue. And it's okay, well, who's supposed to tank?
Kind of defense?
Nobody. But all the same, I love it. Very ambitious story-wise. That is another problem people have with it. It will move you between different groups of characters, which I get the frustration, because ultimately the challenge of Fire Emblem games is allocating experience points effectively for the end game. And when you don't know that a character is just going to disappear for 20 chapters before coming back, you might sink a lot of effort in training them up only to realize they're going to fall behind anyway. But I really think it did because this was my first one, and it's one of the rare sequels to a previous game. Wow. It did a great job of establishing the context of the world. I didn't even realize there was a game before it. I thought this was just, world building, but it does a great job catching you up on the history of Tellius. And it's the end of an era. This is the last pre-Awakening Fire Emblem, and after Awakening, Fire Emblem was never the same and never will be.
Everything changed when the Fire
Nation
Nation
attacked. You may like it better
attacked.
for that, but some of us don't exactly. And I say that I still liked Awakening, but I do have some issues with the direction the series took since. So it's an odd choice for a top Wii game too, because it's literally very basic controls. No motion controls here. You're just giving commands on a grid. Confirm, cancel. Those are your buttons. But yeah, this is a game that got me into Fire Emblem, and it's still my favorite for all its flaws.
Love that.
It's one that I still need to play, but it's on the list.
Yep.
All right, so I guess I'm up with my number 5. And my number 5 is the last story.
Oh, okay.
Mistwalker. This is probably no surprise to anybody that knows of my RPG taste. So I won't go into too crazy detail, but just all the RPGs that kind of came at the last end of the Wii's life there, like, were things that were missing at the beginning. Like, so I didn't jump into the Wii until way later, and a lot of it was just because Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 had a lot more games that I was interested in playing at the time. It's kind of funny. What made me jump over to the Wii was actually Mario Kart Wii. My wife wanted to play, so we bought a Wii, and then I was like, well, now there's some games on here that are up my alley, so we'll go ahead and start playing some more things. And one of the things that I was excited for was the set of JRPGs that were coming down the pipeline towards the end there. This was definitely one of them that was on the list. So,
was this part of that whole campaign to localize? There were like
yes.
3 of them, right? It was this, Pandora's Tower, and Xenoblade?
Yes.
I think Adam just recently picked it up too.
Yeah, I picked it. I had this game originally, and then traded it in, and then sometime within the last couple of years, I picked up the collector's edition of it again to have like the soundtrack and stuff. It's really good. It's got a good OST. But yeah, this is definitely one of those games that I'm very glad got localized. It'd be nice to get a remake of it here at some point. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but some updated graphics would be nice.
Yeah, upres it, put it on Switch. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, these games look good on the Wii, but it's still it's a 480 game. So they still look kind of chunky.
I've been wanting them to do that with another Mistwalker game, that Lost Odyssey.
Yes.
I would love them to upres that.
Yep.
But
that I was playing Lost Odyssey on the 360 whenever there wasn't any RPGs to play on the Wii.
Right.
All right. Are we ready to move on to number 4?
Yeah, let's get Dan's number 4.
All right. Dan's number 4 is Alien Syndrome, which really isn't that much of a surprise.
I've not played this one. I've seen the box art like many, many times. I've never actually played it.
Which I believe this is a remake of the
was like an NES game, wasn't it?
NES game,
yeah.
So I think this was a remake, and I think it came out I have it on the PSP actually.
Okay.
Which is the same game, I believe, just on the PSP and not the Wii.
Saw a lot of that in the Wii era. You saw a lot of parody between like the Wii and PSP ports.
There was, yeah. It was kind of wild. I guess they were kind of running the same power of hardware at that time.
Yeah, hardware is probably similar. Yeah.
So
yeah, well, that's cool. I'll have to look into Alien Syndrome if Dan holds it in such high regard. I've never played it.
Yeah, they're
Gotta
fairly
be cheap, right?
too, I believe. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I guess I do have this Wii game as well. I have it on the Wii and the PSP, I guess.
Nice.
So what's your number 4?
So my number 4, this is where I wound up putting Super Paper Mario. This is another one which Sam would probably kind of similar to what Sam was saying with Fire Emblem. A lot of people consider this to kind of be the beginning of the end for Paper Mario, where this was when the series sort of deviated and went away from the traditional, 64 1,000-year door style, but it's a very special game for me. I think I've talked about this on the Discord and on my podcast before, but I'm somebody who spent a lot of time in my teenage years writing Mario fan fiction online, and my friends and I, when this game came out, lost our mind. I'll never forget it as long as I live. When Super Paper Mario came out, and that game, which I know there are people who are going to be playing it for the first time, so I won't go into overt spoilers, but that game goes places with its story that are insane and goes into an actual, like, in the game's own contextualized lore so much deeper than any Mario game before or since, really. And it completely validated my friends and I's, like, the way we had wasted our teenage years, basically obsessing over Mario lore online. So that game is just very, very special to me. And I kind of like the interesting kind of gameplay gimmick of that game. And it's always going to be a really special game to me.
Do you mean the 2D, 3D flipping, or just the
like 2D, 3D flipping platformer? Yeah, it became like a weird, like, amalgamation of an RPG platformer with the kind of 2D, 3D sort of dimensions that you could go between, and I liked that. I thought it was a neat little gimmick for what it was.
Yeah, I enjoyed Super Paper Mario, but it did not make my list.
Yeah,
but I'm glad somebody put it on their list.
It had to be on there somewhere. I can't
necessarily sing the virtues of it because it does seem to me like it has its fans, but it seems like the main thing most people do remember about it is the story,
which is weird,
just
right?
How crazy the story was. Not so much like, because I struggle, and I think I played through the game twice. I struggle to remember like actual levels. Like the one that comes to mind the most is that the one where you're forced to work, and it's just frustrating. Right. You have to run on the wheel or whatever, and like, oh, I don't want to ever play that again. So because I'm definitely a gameplay first one, and I struggle to latch on to too much of the actual gameplay of that game, so much as just the kind of novelty of the story and setting.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think you're right. I think that, like, the gameplay of it definitely does, like, kind of become like a sticking point for a lot of people. But I think for me, it's just like, it really is that place in time. Like, I'll just never forget, like, the reaction that we had to that game. It was mind blowing. Like, I can't even describe it. Like, I still think back to some of the things that happened in that game. I was like, I could not have dreamed that I would see something like this in an official Nintendo product. You know?
My number 4, I guess, might be somewhat controversial, though it was a pretty easy choice for me, and that's Skyward Sword. This game's had a lot of conversation about it recently. It feels like it went through every Zelda game goes through this cycle where a new Zelda game comes out and it is the best Zelda game ever, and roughly 5 to 10 years later, everybody says it's overrated. You're starting to hear the murmurs of Breath of the Wild is overrated right now. Right?
Yeah.
We're still in the tail end of Breath of the Wild as the best Zelda game ever made. Nothing like it will ever surpass it. And this got remade because I remember IGN gave this a 10 out of 10. I remember reading the review. They gave it a 10 out of 10. That seems crazy today. And people just turned on it as soon as, like, people were so done with the Wii, right? And this was the Zelda that had to have motion controls because it was on the Wii. That was Twilight Princess on the Wii. This game was built for motion controls, and I think the motion controls ultimately did enhance it.
They're so good.
Out of all the 3D Zelda games, and I ultimately, Link to the Past is my favorite Zelda. I prefer 2D Zeldas, generally speaking. But I would say out of all the 3D Zelda games, this game has the best story, the best dungeons, and the best bosses.
Yeah. I would agree with all of those.
So I don't know what to tell people that can't get over motion controls. Just I don't know, learn to play the game that you actually have, not the game you wish it was.
I don't think people didn't really start poo-pooing on this game.
No, they didn't.
Until Breath of the Wild was announced. I don't think
that's the cycle. I think it. I don't know because I heard it before the re-release.
Well, yeah,
I heard people crapping on Skyward Sword before then, and
it was just lingering
resentment over the Wii. All their disappointed expectations about what they wanted to see from the Revolution. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
well, yeah, and like the problems that Skyward Sword's original release had were just simple quality of life things, which is why when the re-release came out, now everybody loves it again. Everybody's like, oh, like it's great now.
I've heard people who played the re-release and they're like, oh, I remember why I didn't like this or didn't.
And that's fair.
It's
a
fair. Bit more divided.
Yeah, but it definitely, like just the simple, like not having to get the dialogue box every time I pick up something after turning the game off,
sure.
and the dialogue being slow and the intro being slow or whatever. But that's so minor. Like the story is, I think, handily. I mean, like it's two different kind of takes on story, but the actual, like on the face of it, story of Skyward Sword is bar none the best of the series. I agree with you. I think the dungeons are the best of the series. I think it's got some of the best music of the series. And I love the motion controls. Like I think the motion controls are handled extraordinarily well in that game. I played through it like when it came out on Switch. I was like, cool. Like it's cool that I can play with the Pro Controller. I can't believe they even made that work at all. But I did the whole thing with Joy-Con.
I was there day one from that announcement. Like, why would I want to play Skyward Sword without motion controls?
Right.
I was that guy.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't have a whole lot of company. Everybody's like, yes, I can finally play this without motion controls. And I'm like, are you sure that's going to work? Are you sure that's what you really want?
I love playing the game that way. Like, I think it feels great. They did a great job with that.
And I've told this story before, but like Skyward Sword and Skyrim came out like almost side by side. Like there was days between them. And I knew a lot of people that were super excited for Skyrim, and I could care less because I knew that Skyward Sword was coming out, and I had, already pre-ordered and was ready to play. And a lot of people had already abandoned the Wii by that time, But I just remember I was like, man, I'm not going to play Skyrim whatsoever. I'm going to go play Skyward Sword. And that's what I did. I still have my gold Wiimote that I got from it.
Yes.
But definitely worthy of being a number 4.
The theme song being Zelda's Lullaby backwards will never not blow my mind.
That's so amazing, right? Like, how cool is that?
It's literally just the melody played backwards, but it somehow sounds so good still.
Yeah. Well, Seth, we had this exact same idea because I put Super Paper Mario as my number 4. As well, so we won't have to spend any more time talking about that game. We've already nailed it out. So,
well, you and I like these. You and I like these darker kind of stories.
Yeah, Super Paper Mario is definitely a wake up call for Mario games in general. So
yeah,
and I've always enjoyed. Even from Mario RPG on, I've played all those games. So definitely made my list. Dan's number 3 is Twilight Princess, the other Zelda Wii game.
The other one, I still think of it as a GameCube game in my mind, like because
yes,
especially comparing the Wii version. Like this is why Skyward Sword is on my list and Twilight Princess isn't.
Right. I like Twilight Princess, and I think I actually might like it more the more I spend time thinking about it. My relationship with Twilight Princess has kind of been up and down, certainly, but I think the more I think back on it, the more I like it. But it also it is funny that like people poo-pooed Skyward Sword for like a slow intro, and I'm like, I found Twilight Princess's intro way more slow.
It is.
I have multiple times tried to replay Twilight Princess and not made it past the opening.
Yeah.
Go collect these goats.
But
as much as I like, Cowboy Link being a goat farmer, it's not an engaging part of the game.
No, Twilight Princess is the only Zelda game that I haven't completed that I know of.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I totally missed it whenever it came out. It was not like...
It did have some cool stuff to it, but it just, I don't know. I think it has some structural problem. Like I said, especially if we're talking about the Wii version, this is where you can complain about motion controls because it was just waggle.
That was waggle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Twilight Princess is like a very... I don't know if I'd call it playing it safe, but like this is more like it's what people wanted when they were upset about Wind Waker.
Right. Yes.
And when they finally got it, it was underwhelming.
Yeah, well, yeah, in retrospect, I think at the time the hype was like immeasurable because it was like
the Zelda hype cycle. Every Zelda that comes out is the new best Zelda ever, unless we're talking about Triforce Heroes, I guess.
Yeah,
it's
you're
maybe the only exception.
Yeah, it definitely.
And then 5 years later, it's overrated, and 10 years later,
it's people were hype about Triforce Heroes.
I like Triforce Heroes,
yeah,
but
I played it.
but it was like to have that available on the Wii at launch, regardless of anything else, like it was hype to have that. And it was like, finally the kind of follow-up to Ocarina of Time that people had wanted. And it basically was just sort of like, let's do a facsimile of Ocarina of Time again, getting to be out in the open Hyrule field and that sort of more photorealistic take on it. I think it is what a lot of people wanted after Wind Waker, but yeah, I have some love for that game.
I mean, it's still, at the end of the day, it's still a Zelda game.
It's still a Zelda game.
Games are good, pretty much.
It's like pizza, like even if it's bad, it's still pretty good.
Even if it has pineapple on it, you're going to eat it. All right. What's your number 3 there?
Oh, right. Yeah. So my number 3, I actually went back and forth with this one. My number 3 is No More Heroes, the first one, which is maybe a controversial list entry because a lot of people would go with No More Heroes 2. Especially considering that No More Heroes 2 really felt like an answer to No More Heroes 1. Like, people complained about the open world, kind of empty open world or whatever, with like boring jobs to do and things with No More Heroes 1. So with 2, they got rid of it. They streamlined it. They made it, a kind of much more straightforward action beat 'em up kind of thing. But I really like the open world aspect of No More Heroes.
It lost some of the charm along with it,
I think so. I kind of liked the dumb little boring jobs and mowing the grass to buy your way into the fights, and I kind of dug that. And it was, and like, not only that, like getting to the waggle implementation of No More Heroes and like having an actual lightsaber, like that just felt awesome back then.
It was paired to the Wii. I mean,
yeah, it was great.
When it got ported to the PS3, it was just not the same,
Not the same at all. And it felt great. And there was a really cool effect on No More Heroes that I've always loved. I still love it today. Whenever Sylvia would call you, it would come through the Wii's speaker.
The emote, yeah, like a phone.
So you would like hold it up like a phone, and it was so cool. Like I loved that effect. And like Suda had a way of like, anybody who has played No More Heroes knows the way that Travis has to recharge the beam katana in that game. You make a very PG-13 motion, let's say, with the Wii remote to recharge it. And so Suda51 kind of knew like the joke everybody was going to make anyway. So it's like, let's lean into that and let's make that.
He created the joke. So
yeah, it's like I'll just lean into that. And that game, it has like a really special story to it. I love that world. I love that when we went to No More Heroes 3, we went back to the open world structure. So yeah.
And how you save the game is classic. I mean,
oh yeah. Yeah.
That's one of those games I can at least say it's not for me, but hey, it's for somebody.
I love it.
Somebody is Seth.
Yes, it is.
So, yeah, my number 3, probably not a very controversial pick. Donkey Kong Country Returns. This is
a good game.
Nice.
The return of Donkey Kong Country, and I think we all love Donkey Kong Country. If you don't, you have no soul.
Something wrong.
And yeah, this is retro. I mean, come on. Beautiful game too. We talked about
it does.
Yeah, 480, but those sunset levels, man, the stuff with the backgrounds they did.
Yes.
Even like the the factory stages with all the smog, and then you just see Game & Watch hanging out in the background there. And
this game pushed the Wii, man. Like, it was a gorgeous game.
Yeah, a 2D
Beautiful.
platformer pushed the Wii, but that's honestly the best looking games on the Wii were 2D games. Donkey Kong Country, Returns, stuff like Muramasa the Demon Blade, probably the best looking game on the Wii. I love 2D games, and I think this is part of where people's differences, and it's fine to have this difference, and they didn't like the direction Nintendo is taking, where Nintendo started to really go back to the well of 2D platformers in the Wii days, especially as they said, okay, we can't just do motion control. We started to see this. We started to see New Super Mario Bros.
Wario Land came back.
Yeah, even like Kirby went back to 2D.
Yep.
Well, he never left, but Kirby went back to home console. He didn't
escape.
Kirby went back to home console because before, Kirby platformers were a handheld affair. We just had like Air Ride on the GameCube.
Yep.
But but I love me a good 2D platformer, and Donkey Kong has always been, to me, better than Mario at the strict 2D platform. Usually because it's more challenging. Donkey Kong games have always been geared a bit more towards a steep difficulty curve at times, whereas Mario is meant to be a bit more accessible. And so that's always stood out to me. Just fantastic game. Great. There is just little in this world that I enjoy more than a well-designed 2D platformer. And it always comes down to the strength of level design. And Retro definitely knows what they're doing with this. With, of course, Tropical Freeze followed it up, possibly even better.
Even better, yeah.
But
we just need that third game in the second trilogy.
Fantastic return to form for Donkey Kong. When I know Dan loves his Donkey. It's his Jungle Beat, his stuff like that. But to me, when all they could do with Donkey Kong was bongos, I was like, what if you become Donkey Kong? You used to be great, and now you're just a rhythm game mascot.
Now you're bongos.
But I was glad to see him stomping. Just the absence of King K. Rool is the only thing wrong with it.
Yeah.
The Tiki Tax. Nobody remembers the Tiki Tax.
No.
Nobody wants to remember the Tiki Tax.
And they still didn't bring it back in the next game either. It was different enemies.
The Snowmads.
Yeah.
Right?
The Snowmads are definitely better. Like, I can accept them at least as villains. The Tiki Tax were just such a, like, okay, what is this? Where's K. Rool?
Yeah.
The Snowmads are at least like, okay, if it wasn't weird that K. Rool just kind of disappeared, I would accept them as a thing.
The Tiki Tax seemed like they belonged in a Banjo game. Like, they felt out of place.
They struck me as Rayman-ish.
Yeah.
Banjo enemies have more personality than that, though. A lot more, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. It's a great game, though. And yeah, how cool to see Donkey Kong, like, and they knew exactly what they were doing, too. The way that game opens, and you, like, burst through, it's perfect. It's perfect.
The way you get to just pummel the bosses. Plus, it ends by Donkey Kong punching the moon into the earth, so there's always that.
There's no better ending, man. So, again, I don't know how many times we're going to do this, but my number 3 is also No More Heroes.
The first one?
There you go.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll have to see how many more we have that are the same by the end of this.
But man after my own heart.
No More Heroes, man. I have the collector's editions of the Switch versions as well.
Yeah. It's a great game.
It is.
It's interesting that you also picked the first one over the second one. I think that most people would choose 2 over 1. So it's cool that you and I both picked the first one.
I mean, I also really liked all the little unique things that came along with number 1 over 2. When they streamlined number 2, I think they just streamlined too much. Like it was, like I said, it's kind of lacking some of the charm that the first one had, and just just different things you could do in the game. The open world didn't have to be anything spectacular. Just some of the things you did in it were not anything else you've ever done in a video game. So it was definitely enjoyable.
Yeah, I just like living in that world, just going around on the Spell Tiger and like you can do the Akira slide, and it's just good. Like it's just fun. I liked it.
Alrighty, we're getting close. Dan's number 2 is Metroid Prime 3.
It's a solid choice.
Yeah.
Solid choice.
It's not my favorite Metroid Prime game, but I'll take it.
Yeah, me either. I have this like recurring thing that I've noticed lately where oftentimes my favorite entry in the series is the first one, and Metroid Prime is no exception. But I mean, 3 is still a great game. And like, I remember when that came out very well. Like there's a lot of hype around that game, and it was cool to see that kind of like trilogy completed and stuff. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add to that. It was a good game. I haven't played it recently, and I've actually like forgot a lot of the stuff. I need to go back to it.
Yeah, I'll wait a couple years. They'll port it. They'll port it to Switch.
Very little Metroid Prime, as it turns out.
Yeah,
my aversion to first-person shooters was very strong at this point. It still is, but it was very strong at this point. So I was like, nah, this isn't a me game.
That's fair.
All right, what's your?
I'd be willing to give it a try if it gets a re-release or something.
Yeah, well, I've been predicting for a while that it's going to get a re-release this year for the 20th anniversary.
It is still very much it is a Metroid game. It's still a kind of an adventure game.
And now everybody's all corroborating that. Now Jeff Grubb's saying it's going to get one too. So I don't know. We'll see. But if it does happen, just remember # Seth was right. All right. So my number 2. This is where, I mean, you start getting into a little bit of obvious territory, but my number 2 is Super Mario Galaxy 2. Just is. It just is. Like, I love that game. When it came down to it, I've had this discussion with Eric, my co-host on All In, many times. Super Mario Galaxy 1 is his favorite game of all time. And he and I disagree on the Galaxy 1 versus Galaxy 2 thing. But it's one of those things where I don't think he's wrong at all. Like his argument is I prefer Galaxy 1 because it feels more organic. It doesn't have like the sort of like, world map structure that Galaxy 2 had where you're just kind of going from stage to stage. Yeah. And like, I get that. And I think he's right. Like I agree with that. But all the little gameplay things, like the addition of Yoshi to Mario Galaxy 2, like the level design was so creative and inventive in Galaxy 2. The music is phenomenal.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. Galaxy 2 is the better.
It just took everything that Galaxy 1 did and did.
I think a lot of people remember 1 more fondly because it definitely made more of an impact. Like this was, first time seeing Mario fly through space like that. It was, it introduced Rosalina to us. Mm-hmm. Galaxy 2 gave us Lubba. I mean, who cares about Lubba?
Right.
That's true.
But level for level, and this comes down to, the thing that makes the biggest impact on me is the actual gameplay. Mm-hmm. And level for level, I think 2 just has the better selection of stages.
Definitely.
Power-ups.
And power-ups and, sequences in it. Whereas
Eric.
1 had the novelty, it had the observatory, it had Rosalina, it had the concept that introduced, but 2 had the benefit of coming after and learning from some of the mistakes, what worked, what didn't, as far as like the motion controls and other things, and improved on it and added Yoshi back in and all that. So
yeah,
100%.
I love that game.
Galaxy 2. Galaxy 1, of course, still an awesome game.
Yeah. I mean, we're
comparing. They basically both games deserve to be number 1 and 2, whichever order you put them in. I just don't want to have 2 of my slots taken up by very similar games.
Between your kids, man. It's like
These are both
both
10s.
equal.
Like they're both wonderful games. Yeah.
All right, Sam, what do you got?
So I kind of tip my hat. I've given very high praise to Mario Galaxy. I'll just go ahead and say it's my number one. My number two is Wii Sports. Also very obvious choice. You have to just give credit to it. This is the Wii game. Pure and simple. This is the Wii game. This is the game everybody played on their Wii. This is the game that sold all the Wiis. This is the game that your grandma played and loved, and that you played with your grandma.
It's an unbelievable game. Yeah. I said it earlier.
And
that game
it
came
comes
from
down
outer
to
space.
this is very much one of those games that, you know, it kind of obliterates that, oh, this is just for casuals thing, because anybody who's played Wii Sports loves it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be, no matter who you are, you love Wii Sports. That's just how it is.
It immediately makes sense. Like that game broke down any semblance of a barrier. If there's ever a moment where you're like, video games aren't for me, I can't get my head around the buttons, whatever. Wii Sports removed all of that. And that's what made it such a perfect launch title for the system. And well, like to have it bundled together with the system, it's perfect. Yeah, that's an unbelievable game. Maybe low-key the most important game Nintendo's ever released.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it may not be the most in-depth game, but all the same, I'm pretty sure I played like at least 50 hours of Wii Sports.
Oh,
just the bowling.
Yeah. And the bowling's still great, by the way. Like having just the bowling in Switch Sports, even just carrying that legacy forward, like it's still the best. Like
it's definitely. I mean, it made such an impact on Nintendo of how successful it was that they tried to go back to the well again with 1-2 Switch. It just didn't have the same impact.
Yeah,
although I think maybe if they would have packed it in, and maybe it would have.
1-2 Switch should have been a pack-in game for sure. No question. But it's still. I mean, Wii Sports was just like it was peanut butter and chocolate. Like it was just the perfect pairing for that system. It completely beautifully illustrated Nintendo's intent with that system. It's perfect. Like it's just a perfect representation of what the Wii is.
That's exactly it. So I promise I didn't look at your list, but my number 2 is also Super Mario Galaxy 2. Like we've got almost the exact same list.
If we have the same number 1, I will be shocked. That's awesome.
I don't think we will, but yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah,
And
Super Mario Galaxy 2 still good.
It is, yeah. All right, we're down to, well, do we want to do runners up before we do number ones? You guys have some honorable mentions?
I've got so many
honorable mentions.
I'm about to say, y'all go first because I have so many. I'll mention the ones you guys don't mention.
List them off. I talked about Mirror Mask of the Demon Blade already. That game's really cool. So you can check that out. 2D game, looks like traditional Japanese art.
Yep, that one is good.
Very Odin Sphere, made by the same people.
Yes.
Kind of a follow up to it.
Yep.
Kirby's Return to Dreamland. This kind of like, I think that it doesn't get talked about much, but this basically established the new formula for Kirby for a while, where it was 4-player multiplayer. And compared to stuff like New Super Mario Bros., this works a lot better as a 4-player game.
I agree.
Because you don't really interfere with the other players. It's a lot more cooperative. I played this game with my nephew a lot when he was very young. It was one of the games he actually liked to play, even though he didn't know what was going on, because he could just kind of float around, and I would just drag him along because that's how that game worked. Whereas in New Super Mario Bros., you would kill him doing that. So, you know, it was, you know, it's one of those things, and I think it was a good thing for Kirby. I know a lot of people by Star Allies were kind of tired of that formula, but I think it was a great step at the time. It made a whole lot of sense on the Wii.
Yeah,
Smash Bros. Brawl, not the best Smash Bros, but it was Smash Bros. And it was brand new, and it still had the best Smash hype cycle. I know Ultimate was pretty hyped too, but Smash Dojo, you had to be there.
Daily.
All those updates, it was wonderful.
Well, and you get Subspace Emissary with it as well, which was totally bonkers for Smash, to get a story mode in it. Like, nobody was expecting that, I don't think.
Yeah, I have more critical thoughts on Subspace Emissary, but I won't get into that now. Sin and Punishment Star Successor, because I had to put a token treasure game on here.
Of course.
The treasure game.
We love treasure. And they brought back Sin and Punishment at the weirdest time to do so. Monster Hunter Tri, just like Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, was where I started with the Fire Emblem series. This is where I started with the Monster Hunter series. And a lot of that was actually born out of one of those kind of, Nintendo first-party droughts of the Wii era, because there were some. And I was like, well, what else am I going to play? And I was like, I'll give this crazy popular in Japan monster hunting game a try. And it got me hooked. Pure and simple, even though back then it was a lot less accessible.
Yeah, it was.
And lastly, Ghost Squad. I have to shout out Ghost Squad every time. If you are looking for an arcade port light gun game for the Wii, look no further than Ghost Squad. It is fantastic.
And it's cheap.
It is loaded with features. It is so dirt cheap. Pick it up for your Wii. And it just has all that right energy. And John, Seth, Dan, if you're listening, if we ever meet in real life, I want you to immediately walk up to me and do the Ghost Squad secret handshake that they do at the end of every mission. The high five to the low five to the elbow.
It's the best.
just please.
Oh, Dan doesn't have any runners up, so Seth can give his really quick as well.
Okay, well, I'll shout out a few of them here. I mean, I've got like a laundry list. I'll just shout out a handful of them. Punch Out, I love that game. That game was phenomenal. I thought they did such a great job, like bringing that to the Wii. I wish they would just port it literally to Switch. I adore that game. We did a whole retrospective of it on All In. Like, I have so much love for that game. Y'all mentioned Wario Land Shake It earlier. I know some people that's a contentious game for Wario Land fans. I really enjoyed it. I liked the art style. Thought the gameplay was fun.
It's one of my runners up too. So
yeah, I really enjoyed it. Even like dumb little games on Wii, like Boom Blocks, I thought were really fun.
Yeah.
Which is a Steven Spielberg produced game, weirdly. And so that's just a thing. I even liked some of these weird little third-party games. I liked NBA Jam on Wii a lot. GoldenEye, I even thought was good on Wii. The Daniel Craig GoldenEye, remake. I enjoyed it. Like, I thought it was fine. I remember the hype leading up to that, where they released the Gold Pro controller and everything. I dug it. I mentioned Deadly Creatures briefly earlier, which is a weird, dumb little game.
Still never played that one. I feel like I'd like it.
It's another one. It's really good. It's cheap. I think it's like less than $20. It's and that's the thing too, guys. Like, anybody listening who hasn't jumped on the Wii train, like, it's the right time to collect for the system, because most of these games that we're talking about are in that like $20, $30, even less range.
John's Price's retro list is the exceptions.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Pretty much grab the top. No.
And I'll give you a couple, like, because it's me, I'll give you a couple little weird underrated ones. Korra Rinpa, which is one that I love. That's like, I love me a good, roller, a good marble rolling game. Elebits, which is like the weirdest first person shooter that's on the Wii, and I love that game. And then Zack Wiki, which is another one that I like to shout out as often as I can.
Yeah, I need to go back to Zack and Wiki. I never made it very far. It's one of my brother just let me have all his Wii games, and he had Zack and Wiki, and I need to play it.
It's really good. It's like I mean, it's ultimately it's like a point and click adventure.
Yeah,
but
and I don't like point and click adventures, but I make an exception for Zack and Wiki.
Yeah,
it's almost more a puzzle game too, like mini
Right.
game, puzzle game, point and click.
They found a way to make it palatable.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, those are my very brief honorable mentions. I had more too, so I'm just going to leave it there though.
Yeah. Also, well, I had Wario Land Chicken on my list too, but I have Mad World, the Sega game. That game's fantastic.
So fun.
Both the Red Steel games are pretty good.
The Red Steel 2 used the
Motion Plus,
right?
Motion Plus.
I've heard it was one of the better Motion Plus games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Conduit games are pretty good for shooters.
Oh,
yeah.
Good things
Those were
about
good.
Conduit as well.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there was just tons of good stuff. Battalion Wars 2.
Yeah, Conduit really stands out for being a Wii exclusive third party shooter.
Yeah.
And there should have been more, given that you had, a sensor bar and you could point to aim. There should have been more of those.
And I think we'd have to mention Mario Kart Wii, even though that's somebody's number one. But I mean, that was like the number one selling Mario Kart for the longest time. So definitely a departure in a positive way, like from the 2D type stuff they tried to pull on the Game Boy Advance and DS. So those are my runners up. Those are things that didn't make my list, but were pretty close. Like definitely worth mentioning. All right, well, here we go. We're going to move on to number one. Dan's number one, of course, Donkey Kong Country Returns. Nobody's surprised here.
Surprising nobody. It's a great choice. I mean, we said it earlier, right? It's a great game.
That's right. So what's your number two there, Seth? We'll go ahead and just move on.
Yeah, my number one, so this is going to be a weird one. Maybe not shocking to people who are familiar with me and my tastes, but my number one is Rhythm Heaven Fever.
Nice.
It is Rhythm Heaven Fever is my favorite Rhythm Heaven game, and that game to me is just like synonymous with the Wii. Like when I think of the Nintendo Wii, that is the game that comes into my mind. When I worked at GameStop, that was my go-to game whenever I had a Wii come in for trade that I needed to test. Rhythm Heaven Fever got thrown into. I mean, I have played probably north of 100 hours of that game, and introducing multiplayer to it, some of the very best games and songs of the entire series, some of the best remixes of the series. That game's still like, I love Megamix, and in many ways I think Megamix is the best and most accessible Rhythm Heaven game, but Fever on the Wii is just always going to be first place in my heart. And it's funny because this is the one really entry on my list that it probably has the least amount of Wii sort of motion control gimmick in it. Despite the fact that Rhythm Heaven, would somewhat work well with it. It doesn't actually use very much motion at all. But I think they absolutely crush it. And it's a fantastic entry in one of my favorite video game series. So
I was kind of thinking you were going to go there with your number one.
Dude, if that would have been your number one, I would have lost my mind.
It's a great game, but it's not my number one. I don't get along with rhythm games as much as other people. I always love the idea of them, and then I get into them, and I'm like, I have no rhythm.
I will say, and I don't know much about Fever. Seth did say Megamix is approachable. That's the one I've played, and I'm also not huge into rhythm games, but I did enjoy Megamix on the 3DS.
Yeah, it's a great game. I would recommend. Because Megamix is digital only, and of course those eShops are going down. If anybody has the inclination to try Rhythm Heaven, that is the one I'll recommend every time.
We may not be getting a new one in ever.
We probably won't.
So download it now.
Yeah, definitely do. And you can also get Fever on the Wii U Virtual Console. I think the physical is starting to ratchet up in price a little bit. So
definitely go pick it up on the Wii U. It's way cheaper.
Yeah,
I think the physical version's like $70 right now. So
yeah.
Well, I
Sam, your
pitched
number
my
one's Veggie
hand
World,
earlier.
right?
No, it's not Veggie
Oh.
World. It's Super Mario Galaxy 2. And also 1 if I can squeeze it in there, because they really...
1/2.
Yeah.
1/2,
If I have to
yeah.
pick one, it's 2. The understanding there is I don't want my top 2 games to be Super Mario Galaxy 2 and Super Mario Galaxy 1. So
We'll allow it.
I did not include both of them in the list, but I do think 2 is a bit better overall than 1. Definitely my favorite 3D Mario game, period. Possibly my favorite Mario game ever. I'd have to think really hard about some of the best 2D ones like Super Mario Bros. 3. But
Yeah.
It becomes hard for me to make that comparison. But comparing it to Mario 64, even to Odyssey, it's something I didn't quite appreciate as much at the time, in the sense that the Galaxy games have a less open level design than 64.
Right.
Because I was really looking for that. I was a little disappointed in Sunshine for other reasons, and I know people love Sunshine. I was hoping for a return to form to Mario 64.
I think less people are in love with Sunshine after the 3D All-Stars.
That may be true. Mario games go through a similar cycle to Zelda games, perhaps.
I think some of those have more rose-tinted memories than Zelda games do.
Well, I always appreciated because I think Sunshine and Odyssey veer a little more away from... Sunshine is tricky because you have those sections where it goes hardcore on the platforming and you don't have FLUDD.
Yep.
But otherwise, it's a little bit more like a Banjo-Kazooie type of...
Odyssey, for sure, yeah.
Yeah. It's a little bit more of an adventure game, right? It's you're collecting things, and it's not really about the platforming at the end of it. Like, yeah, you're still jumping around, and like I think 64 hit a really good balance with giving you these open 3D environments, but also still making it a platforming game, where most of them are built where there's a pretty clear, like, oh, there's a mountain. I'm going to get to the top of that mountain. There's going to be something there. Like, the game's kind of guiding you that way. It did a really good job with that. Galaxy at times just says, okay, we're just going to have this floating obstacle course in space. And that bothered me. But nowadays I'm like, you know what? This is kind of necessary to make a real platformer game. You know, you need the galaxies and the 3D worlds to keep Mario about platforming. I still appreciate the stuff like Odyssey, Sunshine 2, and adventure type collectathons like Banjo-Kazooie. It's just, at the end of the day, my preference is more for a kind of an actual platformer, so to speak. So, and Odyssey and Galaxy really takes some of the best of all that. You know, you still have those little bit more open levels like the bee planet and all that. And it just, you have these little planetoids that you can wrap around. And who didn't spend tons of time in the first Galaxy just long jumping off that tower and seeing if you could make it all the way around the orbit the planet a whole time? And just messing with the physics with that game was so fun, and there's just so much fun to be had there. It's incredible.
Definitely.
So Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Yeah. So my number one is probably no surprise either, but I had to throw Xenoblade in there because I probably spent the most time playing that game than most other Wii games, mainly just due to, like, the Wii wasn't like a powerhouse of super long games, you know, and Xenoblade comes along and it's like, you're going to play 100 hours of this game whether you want to or not. Like, it's required. So
it's a great game, man.
So yeah, definitely I spent way too much time playing Xenoblade, and then turned around and redid it all over again when they re-released the definitive edition of it. So I definitely had to make my number one on my list. So many great games though, that could have, any one of the ones in my top 5 could have been in number one at any point in time. This was probably like the most difficult list I've had to make in a while.
It was tough for me. Like, it really was. There's so many Wii games. I just love that system, man. Like, I love, like I mentioned earlier, what it represents to Nintendo. I love the software library for all of the, shovelware that is certainly on the Wii. Nobody can deny that. Just what a unique, innovative software library that is unlike anything that we had seen before or really since, for my money.
And as we mentioned several times already, the Wii is a super cheap console to collect for if you're looking for something that you just want to buy and play a lot of games. Maybe you didn't get to play all of them, before. Most of these games, like an expensive game for the Wii is like $30-$40 for the most part. I mean, there are exceptions, but yeah, and most of them aren't even like great games or like really well-known games. Like probably Sheeran the Wanderer is the only game that I even knew about. I knew that of Gunblade and machine guns in the arcade. I didn't have any idea that they made a arcade hits pack for the Wii for these two games to play them with light guns. But yeah, so like $40, like I said, $40, $50 is an expensive Wii game.
Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn will set you like $100, but
I think it's even come down. I think you can get it for like
complete. It's like 102, something like that. But yeah, loose it's less.
Yeah, I think you can get it for like $70 loose.
91.83 loose.
Oh wow! I thought I've seen one. Maybe I need to go back to my local and buy that one.
You need to
buy a loose copy.
Snatch it up.
It's just on its way down. Price charting hasn't caught up yet.
Could be. I don't know. Sometimes locals are a little lower than the rest, but well, that's our top fives.
Yeah, I think the vast majority of the games that we all mentioned here, though, are all. I mean, all of them are worth playing, and all of them are cheap to collect for the most part. And it's like even the console itself is not super expensive to get a hold of, and there are. Everybody owns a Wii. There's a ton of them out there.
It's probably the cheapest way to get something that can play GameCube games too.
Yeah. It's a great time to get in because we're just a few years removed now from that magical, 20-year anniversary when everybody, gets nostalgic.
Thinks about it.
Prices. Yep. So get in now.
I just gave one away. If I find any more cheap ones, I might give another one away. It's funny too because I gave away a copy of Super Paper Mario in the Discord before as well.
Yeah, man.
Back when it was a lot cheaper. It's a more expensive game now. Like it's gone up a little bit. Still not expensive, but I mean, like there for a while you could find it for like $10 a lot of times, 10 or 15 bucks.
That's a great example. I mean, look at Paper Mario 64 and Thousand Year Door and how expensive those games are.
Yeah, they've shot up.
Like Super Paper Mario is going to be next in line. Just like give it a few years. That game's going to be like $80.
Yeah, probably
less than 15 right now.
Yeah, it's the time to get in. Like it's the time to get in for people to collect for the Wii's. It's a great system with a great library, and it's one of those things where it's like a lot of times I wish I could like go back in time, slap myself, tell me to like hang on to stuff or get it while I was cheap or whatever. And like now you kind of can. You can kind of get ahead of the curve a little bit with the Wii if you're trying to collect. So
yeah, right now PS4 and PS3 are still pretty cheap.
Right.
Xbox 360 will always be cheap for some reason.
Just don't try to collect every single Wii game because there are a lot.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch.
You don't want. Imagine Party Babies is probably not worth the space on your shelf.
Yeah, you could probably keep that out of your collection. I mean, unless you're looking for like a replacement case, maybe.
This is true. Alrighty, well, we didn't get any questions that I saw.
It's probably good. Y'all had me here, so we went long.
Yeah, we went a little long, so
Dan doesn't keep us on course.
Yeah, we don't mind going long whenever Dan's the one that likes to move us along and keep us going. But
that's all right.
I think I think that wraps us up, unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about with the Wii.
Bring back the Wii Shop channel music.
Yes. Viva la Wii.
And give us the Wii Vote channel.
Everybody votes.
Twitch. Everybody votes.
That's right.
Alrighty, we'll move on then. I think we're going to be without Dan for at least another episode. So look forward to at least one more long episode. I think we're going to have Adam, his brother, on for the next episode. So that one will probably also go long.
Hey, there you go. The inmates are running the asylum, man.
That's right, man. But yeah, that's it. So thanks for listening to RetroLogic Podcast. We're proudly part of the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts. If you like what you hear, you can check out Dan on Twitter. And you can also find, occasionally I'm on Twitter. I'm not on there as much as Dan under On Topic Retro on Twitter. And Dan's also on Instagram at RetroLogic Games. And I don't think he's anywhere else. I think that's what he's got listed here. It says you're also welcome to jump into our family-friendly Discord, 100% non-toxic. We try to keep things as clean as possible. It's just a good bunch of people that care about games. There's never any major arguments. You don't have to worry about being put down on anything for liking any games or anything like that. It's definitely just a good place to hang out and really not have to worry about too much scrutiny of any kind that I've ever witnessed.
Best retro community on the internet, bar none.
Couldn't have said it better myself. You can find that link in Dan's Twitter bio. You can also find it on the website at retrologic.games. And that's where everything's at. You can read Sam's blog posts, and you can check out the other podcasts there as well. So that's all I have for tonight. Thanks for joining me, fine gentlemen, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye now.
Goodbye.
Bye.